All right, everybody, welcome to a live edition of The Beard and the Bookie. Yes, that is the Beard. He has returned. Mini Beard is here. There may or may not be a Mini Beard appearance at some point in the show. There are no guarantees. That's what I have been told from the Beard himself.
As of right now, the mini beard is not home. He should be home in a little bit. When he gets here, I will try and coax the lady to let him on. But
You
until
know, the
then,
Mini
no mini.
the Mini Beard's been here a week. He needs to, he's trying to adapt to the surroundings. He's got to get out there, be himself.
He's cute as fuck though, so we got to put him on TV.
So anyway, no, he has not been kidnapped. For those asking in the chat, it was a willing thing. He's stretching his legs. Don't worry about it.
Exactly.
So let's just touch on this since it's going on right now. The World Series is happening as we speak. Brave fans got all high and mighty yesterday after winning Game 1. Charlie Morton threw 18 pitches and struck out 2 on a broken leg. So that's pretty badass of him. So Braves won Game 1, and they are currently getting whipped very early here in Game 2. Let me get you the current score. It was pretty ugly the last time I looked. It is 5-1 now in the top of the third for the Astros. I got asked before the game who I liked. I said I'd probably go Astros. I just don't see the Astros falling behind 2-0. And I still and before the series I leaned Astros, and now with Morton out, I lean further Astros because I just don't think the Braves have the pitching depth. I mean, they have Fried tonight. That's not going well. They have Ian Anderson in Game 3. Okay. And then after that, they already had in Game 4, they had a bullpen game scheduled. They already had that in there. And now they're replacing Charlie Morton with Tucker Davidson. So, I mean, what the worst guy you're getting from Houston is Zach Greinke. That's the worst guy you're getting. And despite everything that I can say about Zach Greinke this year, Greinke does have experience. So it wouldn't surprise me for Greinke to give you 3-4 innings of, acceptable ball, and then you can go to the bullpen. So I can't talk myself into siding with Atlanta the rest of the series.
No, I can't either. I really wanted the Red Sox to win just so it could be like a relatively competitive series. I don't see it going past 5 games. Maybe Atlanta gets one more, but I think Houston, like you said, with their bullpen, like with their rotation, it's really just not. And I don't think Atlanta has the ability to combat that entire rotation in the long run, considering the lack of depth that they have right now. So I think it's a 5-game series. I don't think it's going to be on much longer.
I'm not necessarily sure it'll be that quick. A lot would have to go right. Anderson's going to have to give you a good start in Game 3. You could try and steal that game. And then Game 4 is really a coin flip because it's a bullpen game for Atlanta and you have Greinke on the other side. Why I have a little faith in Greinke. I mean, there's plenty to point to getting a bad Greinke. So, I mean, that could just be who can score more runs and have no pitching whatsoever. So I'm not sure I would necessarily see the series going as quickly as you do, but yeah, I still can't talk myself. I can't talk myself in the Braves. Well, Braves would have to get a lot of things to go right for them, for them to win this series. And when you look at it, and I'm not sure that he's watching, so I don't need to worry about him yelling over here. But as high and mighty as Brave fans want to get, and by all means, more power to you. You play, you got there, and blah blah blah. They've gotten, breaks along the way. Okay, Devin Williams was out for Milwaukee in the division series. I said that was the best matchup that they could get in the division series because Milwaukee wasn't exactly going to score a lot of runs. They go through that. And then, with the Dodgers, no Muncy. Turner gets hurt. I mean, you still had, the Dodgers have a deep lineup regardless, but I mean, that's two of the biggest bats that they have. So that breaks well. And then, they the Astros didn't have McCullers to start this series. So a lot of things broke well for Atlanta to get here. Whether they can actually eventually finish it off remains to be seen. On the flip side, Rob Manfred, has to show his face because there's a piece of metal that he's eventually going to have to hand out. And he made mention to the name, the Brave name, and of course the chop celebration. Now, if you remember, the All-Star game was supposed to be in Atlanta. They pulled that out because of the whole voting situation there, and cancel culture with that. So they pulled the All-Star game out of Atlanta. Now, irony, you have to have World Series games in Atlanta. Can't pull those out. But obviously, we have the Indians who are changing their names next year. Whether or not that does change to the Guardians remains to be seen. Apparently, there's a roller derby team that's very upset. But on the heels of that, why is there no issue with the Braves and especially the chop? And Manfred then goes on to say that, it's a case-by-case basis. The Braves have great community ties with the local natives, and there's no. So wait a minute, let me get this straight. Because the natives in Atlanta are cool with it. All Native Americans are cool with it. It doesn't offend anybody. Good to go. Because that's how this works now.
Kind of. So I'll bring it back to like a personal thing that went through with the university that I went to, University of North Dakota. They were the Fighting Sioux for a very, very long time. And the NCAA constantly wanted to remove the name. They wanted nothing to do with it at the NCAA level. And then essentially what they had to do at the university was there was two tribal bands in North Dakota that were Sioux tribes. They had to get approval from both of those tribes in order to keep that name. And the only reason it changed is because one of those tribes said they no longer wanted it to be used. So once it was essentially not allowed by the tribes anymore, they had to get rid of it. So I could see it working kind of in that sense. You look at the Florida State Seminoles. They got to keep the Seminole name because the Seminole tribe was okay with it. So it really is a case-by-case basis, and I don't think that we can hold that against them necessarily. We have to kind of – you can't come out and say, well, this is just bad across the board, because the next thing you're going to get is you're going to get somebody like the Seminole tribe who is actually they do a lot. They own a lot of businesses, and they have a lot of contacts everywhere. They're going to come out and say, well, now you're not representing us. We don't feel like we're being represented anymore. What the hell? So you kind of have to take it on that case-by-case basis. In areas where it's not okay, you have to remove it. In areas where it is okay, you have to be okay with it.
I have a problem comparing it to NCAA situations because colleges are more based to their community, so to speak. Florida State's a little bit different because, Bobby Bowden era, they were extremely national, but still, they're more to their area. Whereas the Braves are a Major League Baseball team, they are a national entity. So it does, while I hear you about, to a point, how many natives are Native Americans are in Atlanta? I don't know how many freaking Indians are in Cleveland that became an issue. So, I don't, the local argument of it, that doesn't sit quite perfectly with me. Okay, if you're gonna make the Indians change, you got then we've got to go down the list. We got to go down the list.
Yeah, but where does the list stop? Essentially,
well, that's a whole other. It's a whole other thing.
That's what I'm saying. You have to make it case by case, because if you just say we're going to start here and then we're going to go on down, eventually the Vikings are going to have to change their name, because that's going to be offensive to somebody, which I completely understand, because they choke. They choke, and it is what it is. So I get it, but
listen, I was on the side of leave the Indians alone. They didn't need to change the name. The name had been that way for X amount of years, decades. Okay, there were no tribes rising up saying this is offensive, but now all of a sudden it's a problem.
Welcome to 21st
Cancel
century,
culture.
I guess. Yeah, cancel culture. This is the way it is.
So while Manfred is talking, of course, him and Tony Clark got to stand side by side to show a united front and spew the garbage that is, we're talking and we're optimistic that a deal will be reached. Now, mind you, a deal will be reached in, what do we got, 5-6 weeks, because December 2nd is officially lockout day. Okay, and I have sat here from our first show and from the show before that telling you that on December 2nd, there will be a lockout. There is a 0% chance that there will be an agreement made. Okay, now all of a sudden I've got ESPN running articles. Sources say a lockout is highly likely. I didn't need your sources. Okay, anybody with common sense could have put 2 and 2 together. And Josh, if you remember, we had the conversation about one of the big issues is what are they going to do with luxury tax and arbitration and how are they going to pay those guys? And I came up with a pretty good idea of how you could kind of help both sides meet in the middle and come to an agreement. And yet here I am reading this article and they're still talking about pounding their heads against the wall with the same ideas. Hey, let's have a salary cap floor. Let's lower the luxury tax threshold. So let's make teams spend 100 mil, and then if you go over 180, we'll tax you. No, that's a salary cap. No. MLB is firmly against that. No, and no. But I mean, they can't even get over that hurdle, and then they have other hurdles like, Manfred still wants to put in pitch clocks, and Tony Clark's like, yeah, I've seen it. I'm not real enthused by it, and all kinds of other garbage. And you think that within 5-6 weeks, this is all going to get kumbaya and we're going to be good to go? I was going to say, the World Series is going to end and everybody's going to be sitting here. The GM meetings might as well be a funeral. Nothing is going to happen. There's going to be no owner that's going to be cool with handing out $150, $200, $250 million contract when they have no idea what the luxury tax is, what the ramifications are. They don't know anything. So forget December 2nd, forget the lockout. The day the World Series is the day that MLB goes into a deep freeze.
I mean, and if Houston wins again, I'm not going to be upset with that at all. But I mean, you did lay out, you laid out a solid plan and a solid theory as to how to get this done. Knowing what we know though about the front offices of the MLB and everything, like you said, it's going to be a long time before any of this gets resolved. So maybe it'll work out for the better. Maybe we'll see some unexpected changes come out of this. But really, I think it's just going to be bare minimum to get them back in playing because they really only care about the money.
I don't get it at all. Like, how many times do you have to continually go over and over the same thing, get the same response, and think that you're going to make any sort of movement? Like, the salary cap is a non-starter on both ends, okay? And, you got the player side going, well, let's make everybody spend $100 million. And then you got the owners on the other end who were still trying to recoup some money from the pandemic a year ago, 2 years ago. And they're like, well, we're going to bring the luxury tax down to 180. Go ahead, bring the luxury tax down to 180. Because you saw all these teams like the Yankees and, well, the Dodgers blow by it, but all these teams that use that as a de facto salary cap as it is, and they want to get underneath so they can kind of, reset that penalty every so often. Now you're going to bring that lower. You're not going to have anybody spend. And then guess what happens? Then you're going to bitch, piss, and moan about, well, salaries are going down, which they are. All right. The average salary has gone down from like $4.5 million per player to $3.5 million now. All right. And you're only going to drag that down more because you're giving them a de facto salary cap and lowering the number. So, yeah, go ahead. Cut off your nose to spite your face because that's all you're doing by running around in this circle.
I mean, the best thing that can come out of this is maybe we finally get a large push to get Manfred out. It'll be a huge segment loss for us, but at the same time, that's probably the best thing that we can get. It's not going to happen, but I don't understand the financial aspects of it. I mean, I never really have when it comes to baseball. It just doesn't make a whole lot of sense. But the only positive thing that I could say moving forward, and this is slightly off topic, but Ken Griffey Jr. is now part owner of the Seattle Mariners. This is a good step forward for baseball. Bringing somebody like him in, who was an icon for a long time, having him be part owner, let him get to make decisions and be around the game. This is huge at that level. Maybe he can grease the wheels.
We need to bring Ichiro back.
I'm good with that too. He could probably still play.
He can certainly
play coach. Oh, we get 2 Asian pitchers now that can also hit. That's cool. I'm in.
There you go. All right. So we're going to go back to the rants. We've been skipping the rants lately. We're going back to the rants this week. I've got a baseball related rant later that I put out on Twitter. So we'll save that. Yeah, nothing else really baseball related right now that I can think of. You brought up the Griffey thing, which is cool. Yeah, nothing else. So we can move off of that. Let's go to basketball because there's some interesting things going on in basketball.
That's a lie. That's a lie. Never anything interesting going on in basketball. LeBron's still here. The end.
Oh, well, we're going to get to LeBron momentarily. But first I got to talk about the Suns, and we can't leave out that he also owns the Mercury because WNBA is a big deal.
Yep.
Their owner, Robert Sarver, has been accused of racism, sexism, and sexual harassment. So he just got all of it all in one. He wanted the whole cake and ate it too. So of course, Sarver immediately went, if you're an owner and you're accused of things, you've got to use your team's social media accounts to defend you. So go immediately to the Twitter and say these are baseless and blah, 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 blah. Which is what he did. And, obviously the first thing we think of is Donald Sterling because that was obviously the big NBA owner upheaval. There was also, I don't know if everybody remembers this quite as well. We had and probably because it wasn't to the extent of Sterling, but like we had the Panthers owner who had a similar situation in the NFL, and he kind of just got pushed out. Wasn't like you got to get out. It was like we'll kind of move you to the side, sell the thing, and get out of here. But nothing here is really anything that we don't already can kind of figure out. They said, with enough evidence to support such claims, there's a chance the league would forcibly remove Sarver. Yeah, no big surprise there. They categorically deny all alleged wrongdoing. Claims are completely baseless. Blah, 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 blah. He even had a couple of the team employees come out and say, that's not the guy I know. He's not a racist. So that definitely backs him up. I love when I can put my own guys in front of me and go, that guy's not a racist. What? Come on. The thing is this came out about a week ago, I guess, a little after we did the last show. Then it was the ESPN story could be published within the next week or two. As soon as that kind of leaked out, then the Suns owner came out and said, blah, 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 blah. No, not. So we still haven't seen anything. ESPN's worked on the story for a year. They have 50 to 100 people on record. The quote is, I was told this is as big a story as you think it is. It's much bigger. It's a monster. It's going to blow up the NBA. So that's the quote. My question is, where's the article?
Where's the evidence? Where's any of it?
Because if you've been working on it for a year, and you obviously let it go to somebody that it was coming at, that were getting ready to come out, and now it's out there. So what final things do you need to do before you get it out?
You need to pull an Adam Schefter and send it to him to make sure that all the information is correct.
Excuse me, Robert
Send him
Sarver,
the
could
full
you just
story.
corroborate this?
Exactly.
Could you say that you said that word right there and you touched her there, and
Now, keep in mind, this is coming from ESPN, who's a worldwide leader in sports, not sports journalism, not anything reporter-worthy.
Just one thing to back up the ESPN sports journalism thing. So I was lucky enough. All right, usually I'm not in a position to watch the Eli and Peyton broadcast. Usually I'm doing something where I can see but I can't hear. Mm-hmm. So I actually was able to watch and listen this week. So apparently they do a guest every quarter. So first quarter they bring on Marshawn Lynch. Mm-hmm. Anybody who knows Marshawn Lynch knows if you're going to put him on a live TV, have somebody there with the button right away. Just sit there with the button. But no, Marshawn gets full Marshawn, dropping it every 5 seconds. And then they go to break, and then they have to have Peyton Manning come back out and thank him for coming on, but not thank him for the language. Like Mickey Mouse was giving me the apology himself. So, that's all the ESPN journalism I need to know.
Now, refresh my memory, because Eli threw up the double bird on the broadcast. Did he ever apologize for that?
He did apologize. It was it was like somebody got in the ear, like, dude, you can't do that. You need to apologize, like right now, kind of thing. So yes, he did apologize. So here we go. Let's put this up for the people to see. How many shots did Josh need for this? Josh follows the Marshawn plan. He's got a 3-shot minimum before he comes on.
Yep. I'm just here so I don't get fined.
Yep. It's definitely a 3-shot minimum now. It's one for him, one for me, and one for the mini beard.
Yeah.
But anyway, continue your thought.
I don't even know where I was going with that now. That shot.
You're talking about ESPN journalism.
Oh, yeah. Journalism. Because the only journalists that they've had in the past couple of years, they've fired or let go because they just either couldn't afford them or didn't feel like they were bringing the appropriate content to the site anymore. I mean, come on, guys. You had like an Ariel Helwani, who, for me, as an MMA fan, and somebody who hates Brett Okamoto because that guy doesn't know a single thing about mixed martial arts. You bring in Ariel Helwani, who is a capital J journalist, and you have him giving me breakdowns, and he's been in the game for a long time. He knows the fighters. He knows how the sport works. He's not an analyst. He's a journalist. He's who you want at ESPN writing your articles. And you give him a lackluster offer to stick there. You don't fire him, but you definitely don't give him incentive to stay. And as soon as he gets off of ESPN and he's allowed to be himself, I mean, that dude's taken off. So you've got the guys that started The Athletic all came from ESPN for the most part. So
yeah, I don't know if I want to use that one as the greatest.
Not saying that like The Athletic is great or anything, but you're looking at where the actual journalism goes from ESPN. So
The Athletic is a great idea that needed ESPN money behind it. That's what it needed. But see, you missed the show last week. We were, me and the Stash were discussing.
I missed half.
Yeah, you were lingering. We tried to bring you in. I was going to say satellites didn't happen.
I was in the hospital, man. Not much I can do.
I've been there. But me and the Stash were discussing Disney is now contemplating the idea of selling off ESPN because basically it doesn't help their stock. It's basically it's like a legendary asset, or I forget the actual term now. But basically it doesn't help them at all. So they were thinking about piecing it off. And we were talking about, like, you got to think that if ESPN goes to sale, Amazon's just scooping it up.
Absolutely. Yeah. Amazon will make a killing with ESPN.
Because the biggest thing, and I know I'm just repeating everything that we went through last week, but just to move the combo along, the biggest issue with ESPN as far as Disney is they can't move ESPN to just straight streaming because all of these deals with these leagues, they can't take Monday Night Football off of the cable and put it on the streaming, So that's why Amazon makes all the sense in the world because Amazon already has the deal with the NFL already. They're probably going to end up getting Sunday Ticket once once that's finally done. So if you have Sunday Ticket and you bring in ESPN, you can work in a deal with the NFL and work in a deal with the cable companies and get everybody their share and blah, blah, blah. Everybody's happy. So, yeah, Amazon rules the world. That's how this works.
Jeff Bezos rules the world, and he uses his Amazon pawns to get there. But yeah, Amazon would be a good move for ESPN. I completely agree. I think their service and their platform is already set up really well, like you said. I wouldn't be against it. Maybe they could mix it up a little bit with the programming too, like bring some fresh blood into it. The ESPN brand didn't make sense when Disney kind of bought it because, you have things like mixed martial arts on there, which is not really a Disney brand. That's not something that the mouse.
Well, yeah, really the whole Mickey running ESPN thing never made sense.
No, you can't have a company like that running the largest sports network, in the country. So I'll be happy when they move it on. I hope it goes to somebody like Amazon or somebody even like maybe even Paramount. Some big parent company buys it and uses it appropriately would be nice.
All right. So let's talk about our favorite LeBron James because LeBron's always got to do something.
Yeah.
Now, I'll admit I haven't watched this Squid Game thing that everybody goes
hoping
nuts
we're going to
about.
bring this up. Yeah, I've watched it.
You watched it?
Oh yeah, it's awesome.
Okay, I haven't. I know what the general idea behind it is, but I didn't watch it. Whatever. All right, I know that a lot of schools don't want your kids to dress up like it. That's the extent of my knowledge. So apparently, LeBron didn't like the ending. Okay, I don't know if that's a general consensus or what, but LeBron didn't like it, so of course, he had to make that known, and because it's LeBron, then it gets out there. So the creator of Squid Game, who I'm not even going to attempt that name, no shot, not going to happen. He came out with a response, and he was like, "Did you see Space Jam 2?" All right, I thought that was pretty funny. All right, yeah. And he goes, LeBron is cool and can say what he wants. I respect that. If he has his own ending that would satisfy him, maybe he can make his own sequel. LeBron's into making movies, so, he'd probably rename it, though. It wouldn't be like Squid Game 2. It would be like Le Squid.
Yeah, and it would just be his face with, like, him taking off, like, the square mask. Like, it would be that one. I could totally see that. And I'm pretty sure in the quote he said, too, he's like, he can go ahead and write season 2 of Squid Game, and I'll probably send him a letter saying, "Hey, I loved your show, except for the ending."
Yeah,
like,
that was another thing.
Throw that back at him. Yeah. So I don't understand. I understand why some people might not like the ending of the show. Now, granted, you haven't seen it, and I'm not going to spoil it, but I think that a lot of people assume that this is just going to be like a mini series that was going to be one season and just kind of move on. And they have in the finale, they kind of the season finale, they kind of let you know, hey, this is going to be, we're going to keep doing this. And I think for a lot of people that was just like, oh, okay, like it could have been kind of lackluster. But for anybody who did kind of look into this beforehand, like this is a series. It is a book series. So book series have multiple stories. They have multiple storylines. They have multiple chapters. They do different things. So I think he just went into it as the stereotypical like American who's like, oh, this show's all about just murder and all this other stuff. And the ending wasn't what I expected. It wasn't what I wanted because he had no idea what he wanted. He was given he was looking at it from a small lens and not from the bigger picture. So he was so tunnel visioned on it. So that's what I can see. I mean, yeah, the guy that starred in Space Jam 2 wants to talk about the biggest show ever on streaming services. That's fine. I mean, you can have your opinion just like everybody else, but I'm going to treat your opinion just like everybody else on the internet when it comes to something that you clearly aren't good at.
Sure. Just quickly, not doing anything to do with what we're talking about, because that's usually what we do on the show. We take something that we're talking about and go in a completely different direction.
Yep.
Did you see Pixar is doing a Buzz Lightyear movie, just Buzz. Did you see the trailer this morning?
I didn't watch it, but I saw the memes.
Okay. I have two big problems with this. Okay, now mind you, Toy Story is our childhood. So
Yes.
Excuse me if I'm a little defensive about this. Okay. Number one, even though I already knew ahead of time that this was happening, listening to the trailer and it's not Tim Allen's voice is a problem.
Yeah.
Okay. Buzz is one voice. Okay.
Mhm.
You already pulled that crap with me in Toy Story 4 when Bo Peep had a different voice. It's okay. Bo Peep is a secondary character, not Buzz.
Yeah.
All right? That's number one. And then number two, okay, I get that this is supposed to be like a prequel like story for Buzz, and before he was the toy. Buzz never had hair. Never. Okay, so what? He got buzzed when is that he got buzzed before he got on the toy shelf? Like, what the hell happened?
I don't know, man. Maybe there's a scene in the movie where they explain why he doesn't have hair, but he did have it at one point. So maybe
Also,
they're
the
just
chin is different. Like, he's got like the little, okay, we're always used to a little like squiggly hair on the chin.
Yep.
It's just like a dimple now. There's no.
This is I don't know, maybe there was something against people that had weak facial hair, and so they wanted to make it a dimple instead of a little soul patch or something.
I don't know, but like, come on, can you stop scrolling my childhood, please?
Well, so here's the thing, man. Here's the thing. Since you brought this up, I'm going to bring this to you because this is how I thought about it. People.
I hear the mini beard.
The mini beard is not happy. So I'm going to put it to you like this. A lot of people didn't like the Star Wars, like 1, 2, and 3 for Star Wars episodes 1, 2, and 3.
Oh, after the original
Phantom Menace, yes.
Jar Jar, gotcha.
Yeah, the Jar Jar Binks series, and then followed up by 7, 8, and 9, the Jar Jar Abrams series. Here's what I have to say about that, and this is the only reason that I'm going to say this. It's not meant for us, man. They don't care about us. They're doing it for a new generation, so they really don't care.
But see, that's what it is, and it isn't, because they want us to have that nostalgic feel to A, take our kids to see it, and B, because we're the ones with the money now, buy all the crap.
Yeah.
So it is partially for us.
Disney does own Pixar too. That's a good point from Zach.
I'm aware of that. Disney likes to screw with me on every damn angle. I hate the damn mouse. That's why when you go to Disney World, they call it the most magical place on earth, except for the guy that had to pay for it.
Right. The guy that paid for it knows exactly what it's worth. It's not that magical.
Yeah. Yes. Trust me. It felt so magical when I was done.
Oh yeah. As soon as you left.
I walked back to the plane with a real magical trot.
I'm just saying. I have a kid now. I'm gonna go. We're gonna build lightsabers together. It's gonna be dope.
Yep. I was say you will know the feeling.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna feel it.
You will know the feeling. One other thing about good old LeBron before we move on. I saw this picture, and the picture's trying to make a point, but I saw something else beyond it. So since you can't see the picture, I'll just kind of relay what we got here. So it breaks down his years and the different teams he was with. And what it shows you is the games that they played without him. And it says LeBron's never had a single team play above 500 without him. What people don't want to admit is that he made those teams super. Now, I'm taking a shot at all the super teams. Okay, all right, fine, whatever. I'm not going to get into that. Here's what I noticed. From 2003 to 2010, all right, so we're looking at years, somewhere in there. He missed a total of 26 games. 26. All right, that's the first Cav incarnation. Then we go to Miami from 2010 to 2014. He missed 18 games, so that's 6 less, eight less than what he missed in the first Cavs incarnation. Now we go back to that second Cavs incarnation. He missed 27 games. That's 2014 to 2018. And then 2018 to 2021 with the Lakers, he has missed, let me get this right, 49 games and counting, because he's missing tonight as well. What I want to know is, of all those games, which, rough calculations put us at close to 100, how many of those are actual injuries and how many of those are I need a night off? Because as much as we want to talk about LeBron and super teams and elevate and blah, 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 okay, Jordan didn't miss that many games. Jordan didn't take nights off. And when Kobe got Paul Gasol, he elevated Paul Gasol. When LeBron got Kevin Love became a piece of crap that Cleveland's still stuck with.
LeBron doesn't take nights off. He actually prefers more minutes than less because he feels healthier when he plays more. If you remember that tweet.
No, I remember. I know all his BS. But, I mean, come on. This is the same guy that before the year said, he doesn't like taking nights off. He wants to play as many games as he can. Really? Because I remember all the nights that you specifically took off.
Leading up to the playoffs, he would sit for weeks. Or if he knew they had the playoffs locked, he would sit just so he could rest up, so he could keep his body healthy. He literally talked about it, saying I'm doing this for longevity purposes and for nothing else. So you can't come out and try to now downplay your age and your lack of durability by saying no, I never take a night off. We know that you do, bro. People don't forget.
I was like, Mini Beard feels the same apparently.
He doesn't like LeBron either. It's fine.
But does anybody really?
His banker. Sure, his kids like him.
Rich Paul probably does. I mean, LeBron has empowered Rich Paul so much that Rich Paul has ruined Ben Simmons' life.
Ben Simmons ruined Ben Simmons' life.
Ben Simmons is still trying to figure out which way to go. So, by the way, for those that noticed, the stash did pop up on the chat, but he's still driving, so no stash appearance just yet.
He'll be here later.
No, so he'll pop in at some point.
He's part of my rant anyway. He better be here.
So while the stash is driving, let's get to something non-stash related. Let's go to the UFC because I know you want to dive into this.
Oh yeah, this is my rant, but I'll save that bit for later. So essentially, this weekend, the main event was Paulo Costa versus Marvin Vettori, and Paulo Costa shows up the week of the fight to do press and everything like that, and he weighs in. Or he says, I believe it was on Tuesday. He's like, I'm 211 pounds right now, and I have no intentions on cutting to 185. And you've never really heard that before, and when you have heard it, you've always heard you've always heard him say it in a way like, "Hey, I'm just coming off an injury. I'm sorry, I can't make weight. Can we do a catch weight? Can you help me out? Can we still make this work? Because I still want to fight." And what he's doing is, no, I'm not cutting. We'll go to 195. I can make 195. And if you don't want to fight me at 195, then you're a coward, and it's your fault that you don't want to fight me at 195. Marvin Vettori, being the guy that he is, says, yeah, 195, no problem. That's fine. We can do that. And then he's like, I'm still taking 20% of your purse, though. Like, you can't make weight. I'm taking your purse. We signed the bout agreement at 185. You were supposed to be 185. You're not. I'll sign for 195, but I'm taking that 20. Then 2 days later, Paolo comes out and says, I'm not doing 195. I'll fight you at 205. So now he's upping it again. And Vettori is still just like, all right, man, I'll fight you at 205. But now I want your paycheck. Like, Vettori trained for the fight at 185. He worked his way down. He got into shape to be at 185. Costa clearly doesn't care and just acts like, he should be blessed to even be in this fight with him. When you compare the two side by side going up to this fight, Vettori's the better fighter. He's had the better showings against better talent. He's the real draw here. Costa is just a big, muscly meathead that looks good in pictures that brings in viewers. And at the end of the day, he lost pretty handily. And I came out and said right away on our in our discussions about it when it was happening that this guy just needs to be cut. You just need to get rid of him. He has no place here. And Dana White came out and said he's never fighting at 185 again. He's at 205 now forever. Like, I'm not letting him go back to 205. To 185, which in my mind, I was like, okay, cool. But you realize the excuses you just gave him? He's just going to be like, boss man said that I have to fight at 205. Y'all are lucky that I'm up here now and not back at 185. Like, I see this happening, and I'm not excited for it at all.
The funny thing was a few days before the fight, watching things and trying to get a beat on, diving in to figure out what you're going to bet and blah, blah, blah. The jump in weight had a lot of people kind of thinking that it was in Busta's favor because he was the guy, that obviously was sitting at that weight the whole time anyway. And, when you look at the power aspect of the fight, it was in his favor. That was one of the few things that was in his favor, so it looked like the bump in weight would help him. And what actually happened watching the fight was that I think Vettori basically having to I don't think he had to put on weight. I think he kind of actually was kind of sitting there anyway. He was getting ready to make the cut and then didn't have to make the cut. And obviously, Busta was sitting there the entire time. It actually, I think, took away from the fight because they were gassed pretty quickly. I'd say midway through the second, especially about a start of the third, neither of them had much left in the tank at all. So if anything, not only was this a big black eye from a UFC standpoint, which we can just keep running down the line on those because a lot of them are happening lately, but it took away from what should have been a decent fight. I mean, you got nothing close to what you could have gotten out of that. And I mean, it wasn't going to do anything for Busta anyway, but despite the fact that Vettori gets the win, I mean, it does nothing to help him either.
All Vettori did was just make it that much easier for nobody in 185 to miss Costa when he leaves. And I agree with you that Vettori was probably already in that range. Normally, the 185ers sit around that 200 mark before the cut. So he was just like, oh, I just don't have to cut weight, but I'll still be at my same level. But Costa was probably thinking that he was just going to be able to use that power because he doesn't have the footwork to beat him. He didn't have the explosivity to beat him. He didn't have the technical ability to beat him. And he didn't have the heart, the drive, and the desire to win that fight. So when he comes out slow and sluggish like that, it looked to me like he didn't even care in the first place that this fight was happening. Vettori probably was just thrown off because his entire routine was gone, not having to make a weight cut. But now, like, he's forced to move around at a heavier weight in the fight than he might have been used to. Like, he didn't have the cut where he was training at the lower weight, and now after he weighs in, he's putting the weight back on, but he still feels strong. He still feels fast. He still has the good cardio. We didn't really get to see any of that. So, yeah, that fight as a whole was just – it wasn't anything that I wanted to watch, nor do I want to see something like that happen again. That's some Bellator shit. Like, keep that over there. I don't want to see that in UFC.
So Bellator is doing all kinds of shit lately.
Whatever they have to do to keep in business, really. They don't want to get bought out by the UFC just like Strikeforce did.
I'll say, are you paying attention to that PFL crap that's popping up?
I know about it, but I don't watch the fights.
Neither I was going to say. I see it occasionally.
They have some big names in there, but that's it. Just like one championship, like Demetrius Johnson's over there, and apparently he's fighting a kickboxer, and one championship's like, oh, you're fighting a kickboxer, and he's like, yeah, I wanted to mix it up. I'm like, he fought kickboxers in the UFC. I don't get it.
What do you think about the fight this week? The Blachowicz fight.
I think Jan wins relatively easy. I underestimated him when he came in, and I severely underestimated him when it came to the Adesanya fight. So him coming in this weekend, I don't think I'm going to be shocked anymore. I didn't pull up any stats on it, but let me do that real quick. Because I do know that there are some things to watch for. He's fighting Glover. And the only thing with Glover is Glover on nights where you don't expect Glover to show up, Glover shows up.
Well, so here's the reason why I brought this up is that, obviously anybody who pays attention knows Glover. Mm-hmm. And I've seen enough Jan fights now that, much like you, I'm not taken by surprise by Jan anymore. I know, I go in the fights almost expecting Jan to find a way because Jan has found a way and Jan does a lot of different things. But against Glover, I wondered that, Jan is kind of going into these fights, against Adesanya and some of these other guys where his power has kind of been caught off guard, so to speak. I think everybody's kind of gone into fights with him kind of how we've gone into fights where, until you get hit and until you see him for a round, you kind of underestimate him a little bit. You're not sure. I guess you're not fully expecting what he packs. Whereas Glover might be the one guy that you can put in there with that might match or exceed his power.
No. Max or exceed his power at 205? Glover's good. He's not that good when it comes to power, though. You look at, okay, so just for comparison, at guys who have a higher power output than Glover that he's fought, Alexander Gustafsson, who Jan did lose to.
Well, Gusty's still got the John Jones stink on him.
Yeah, and then the one before that, Houston Alexander, 2012. That's really the only two guys with knockout power that he's. Oh, Jared Cannonier, who he beat. Rockhold doesn't have it. Dominic Reyes has knockout power, though. I think he's probably has more power than Glover. Glover is just kind of like that guy that just takes a lot of punishment and keeps coming. So he can very easily walk through a lot of what Jan does, but Jan is very, very well-rounded. So I don't think I'm worried about him taking a shot to the face.
Yeah, I'm not when you look at, obviously, anytime you look at fights, you're trying to find paths to victory for each guy. I struggle to find the path of victory for Glover.
Yeah, I do too. I think that this is his one chance at a title shot. He's had number one contender fights many times before, and he's constantly been beaten many times before. He's been beaten in embarrassing fashion sometimes and knocked out in some pretty bad ways. So this is his shot from the UFC. Here you go. We'll give you the title shot. maybe there's hopes of him pulling like a Michael Bisping and getting that freak knockout or something early. But this is probably also the way the UFC is telling him, like, hey, man, you've had your chance. We gave you your chance. You didn't match up. Let's take it on down the road a little bit. So I think that's where we're headed with it.
Yeah, no. Like I said, I struggle to find any real path of victory for him. I was gonna say anything on that else on that card that is noteworthy. I mean, I remember that fight. I don't remember if there was anything else that kind of jumped off. I'm gonna bring it up here real quick.
It's 267.
Yeah, here we go. I'm looking at it right now.
This wasn't on the sheet, so I didn't really look.
Yeah, I kind of, you know me, I kind of wing things.
I know. It's fine.
Yeah, I was going to say there's nothing really.
This is in Abu Dhabi, so. Oh, I guess
Jan and Sandhagen. I would say Jan and Sandhagen. I would say that the co-main, I guess, is probably the other noteworthy fight.
No, Islam Makhachev, Dan Hooker's going to be good.
Yeah, I also like the fight before that, Volkov and Tybura.
Yeah. Marcin Tybura is nasty for a heavyweight. Alexander Volkov, very hit or miss. So he's almost at that gatekeeper status now. Like you beat Volkov, like you're in that upper echelon at heavyweight. You're starting to get some real fights and some real discussions. I do like Marcin Tybura. I think he's got good knockout power. He's got decent footwork. His cardio's not great, but he's all right. This whole card's not bad. You got Volkan Ozdemir on this card. You've got Claudia Gadelha, I believe, is on this card. Yeah, Khamzat Chimaev. Okay, do you know Khamzat Chimaev? Like, have you seen any of his stuff?
I might have. I was like,
this dude's. They're talking about him like he's the next Khabib, and he's good. Like, he hasn't really fought anybody yet. He's kind of been like on that Sean O'Malley, like those guys track where he's just dominating everybody. So they're just bringing him up next step. And Chimaev is really good. He's out of that same fight camp as Makhachev and everybody like that too. So you have him coming in, and he's in those lower weight classes. I think it's a welterweight bout. So, I mean, you have him at welterweight, and then you have Islam Makhachev at lightweight. You have these guys out of that Dagestani camp that are just ready to come in here and put beatings on guys like Dan Hooker. So it's really going to be interesting to see how those guys do, because they are more of the ground and pound types. They're not super flashy standing up. They can stand up, but I mean, they are the take you down, beat on you, and knock you out that way. So we're kind of getting to that stage. Petr Yan and Corey Sandhagen. If Corey Sandhagen shows up, it'll be a good fight. But Petr Yan is probably gonna win that easy. And it's an interim belt fight anyway. He wants that rematch with Aljo. So I think Yan wins that pretty easy. I don't really see that being a contest.
Quick update. If you are a backer on the over in this World Series game, you're sweating something you probably didn't need to. It's the top of the sixth. Astros have a 5-2 lead. Braves do have a man on second currently with one out. There were 6 runs scored by the end of the second inning. There's been one since. Things have really calmed down. The over was 8.5. 9 if you got the bad number. So, say after the second inning, you thought you were on cruise control. Not so much now, but yeah, still 5-2 as the Braves try and chip away on that. Let's go to college football. Yes. Because while you were in the hospital working on the mini beard there, I witnessed quite possibly the worst football I have ever encountered in my life. And I've watched high school, I've watched, Pee Wee. I mean, this was the fact that this was on national television and people had money on this. They should all get refunds. because this will go down as the quote-unquote longest game overtime-wise in college football history when it was completely unnecessary. If you don't know what I'm talking about Penn State, Illinois, went 9 overtimes. And what was mind-boggling to me, okay, first off, it never needed to go 9 overtimes. Both teams had opportunities, especially once the third overtime came where you had to go for 2. Like the first couple of chances, they both throw passes to guys who were wide open and just drop the football. Like, should have been over. Okay, but forget that. If you watched the game, you realized Illinois was just running the football and Penn State could do nothing about it. And Penn State tried to run the football and couldn't, so they had to throw. Not to mention Sean Clifford looked like he was Lieutenant Dan. So there wasn't a whole lot going on there. All right, and then in overtime, the Illinois quarterback ends up getting hurt, so they have to go to a backup, which just made it even all that much better. So we go to overtime, going off of what I've seen in regulation, and what happens? Illinois decides they're going to start throwing the football, and Penn State decides they're going to try running the football. So you guys are doing the opposite of what you should be doing, because that's going to work. And then it's just ineptitude on top of ineptitude on top. 9 overtimes of just straight garbage. And I had to sit there and watch it because I'm one of the idiots that had money on it.
I mean, did you learn your lesson?
Probably not. I mean, I'm a degenerate. So I mean, there's all kinds of lessons that should be taught that I don't grasp.
What was your bet on that game? Out of curiosity.
Here's what I do every week. All right, despite all the other bets that I have, I just take one. You call it. It's just like a silly money line parlay, like all these like heavy favorites that like on paper shouldn't lose. You know, right? Like you're not going to get a whole lot of money out of it, but it should be like a a quote unquote sure thing, so to speak. Like just put it double money type thing. Maybe a little more, whatever. So they're just on one of these BS parlays that I shouldn't have to worry about. And I'm watching and I'm like, this is now, mind you, I originally was watching the Oklahoma game because that got sticky for a while. And then I realized that I hadn't put Oklahoma on this. And I realized I had put Penn State on this. And Penn State was on cruise control for a while. Like it was close, but they had the lead and it was pretty safe. Then all of a sudden it gets tied. I'm like, okay, I need to pay attention to this now. And then I walk into this just ineptitude from the 10-minute mark of the fourth quarter all the way through the overtime. Just complete garbage. Like, shouldn't have to be watched by anyone.
I mean, to be fair, it was 20-18 final?
Yeah, because of the 2-point conversion, yes.
Yeah, so I think, it wouldn't have been as bad had there actually been some scoring. Ineptitude is fine if you're putting up points.
If they're trading 2-point conversions or something like that, like if guys were actually making the catches they should have and blah, 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 okay, fine. You're making this a little lot. But no, it was just how bad can we look? How bad can we make a football play that should work? I mean, it was almost as bad as going back to the Peyton and Eli broadcast. The Saints, on their last drive, where they end up kicking the field goal to eventually take the lead and win, the play before they end up kicking the field goal, they call a screenplay. Now, you know a screenplay, all right?
Quarterback takes all too well.
All right, quarterback takes 3-step drop, waits till the defenders get a little close, and then dumps it off to the guy who's taking 2 steps and is waiting. That's all the play is. Jameis never dumps it off. Okay, he's got 4 offensive linemen out there blocking, the guy's standing there waiting, and Jameis just never decided to throw the football, and he ended up getting sacked. That is the type of ineptitude I saw play by play in this Penn State game, over and over and over again.
Well, I mean, I don't know if that's that big of a ding on Jameis or if that just is really bad on Penn State. I don't know. It wasn't what we're used to seeing, especially from a team that was at one point, talked about being a top 4 team. the lack of execution, I don't know if it's just that like their hopes of the playoff are dashed now, so they don't really care. I don't know if there's like some internal strife that's been going on. I didn't really see any injuries so much in that game or that anybody was really out. So you're not playing a hard team either.
The only thing I'll say is that, because Penn State couldn't run the football, all right, you're really banking on Sean Clifford to do something. And like I said, Sean Clifford he might as well have been Lieutenant Dan. He couldn't move. Move.
Yeah, but every quarterback starts as a pocket passer to an extent.
Oh, no, I'm not making an excuse, okay? The fact that it was close with Illinois is disgraceful.
Yeah, nobody on that team tried. Nobody on Penn State cared about that game. I think that they were too busy looking forward to Ohio State. I think that they just completely neglected to do anything and didn't really game plan, just thought they would coast through that game.
They were looking at Ohio State. James Franklin was looking at USC.
Yeah, USC. That's a wonderful storyline this week.
Damn. We'll get there. So speaking of teams in the playoff, right, I've been telling you this team's not getting in the playoff. They've now completely put your shirt down. We'll get to that. Any chance of Cincinnati trying to have a case of being in got lost this week because they had to play a tight game with Navy. They only won by 7. Okay? I told you, there's nothing left on that schedule. Okay? They got to pound on people every damn week. Okay? They got to be what like Saban used to do, where like he beat you by like 40, 45 every week. When style points mattered. When Chip was running it up 50 a week back in the Oregon days. Okay? That's what they needed to do. They beat Navy by 7. That's top 4 team in the nation.
Hey man, Army team gave up 70 points.
About that, it is amazing to me, that you can give up 70 points, and that team held the ball for 17 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
They had drives that literally looked one play, 75 yards. That was it.
Yep.
Like, what in the hell? Was anybody doing anything?
All the defenders went to Navy, apparently. Army's got no defense.
By the way, Army was one of the picks I gave out last week. I bet. Thought they played a little bit of defense.
Oh, buddy. I could have told you that game was going to be bad.
Hey, overall picks went well last week. I'm not going to hate on Army.
All I'm saying is the only week to bet on Army is the Army-Navy game. That's the only time you should bet on Army this season.
Yeah.
That's it. And after that game, I don't feel confident in that bet anymore. Still going to do it.
But... Just because since he couldn't handle Navy doesn't mean Navy's any good.
Navy's not any good when they play the Air Force or Army. They can show up and surprise people, but I don't think Cincy's done just yet. I think that the AP poll still has them as a playoff team. Yeah, but we've talked about this. The AP poll doesn't really matter. The committee is the only thing that matters, and the committee should be putting out their first one
next week.
Yeah, so I don't think we're going to see Cincy in there. I genuinely think that we're going to see potentially 2 Big Ten teams and 2 SEC teams.
Well,
like we talked about.
I think that, right, George is obviously going to be in the top 4.
Not if they lose to Florida. Well, if they lose to Florida, they might drop. But
if they lose to Florida, I'm not expecting them to lose to Florida. Okay, no offense to Florida, I'm not banking on it. I have to think that the winner of Michigan State gets in.
Yeah.
I've got to assume you'll probably be in.
We're on a bye, so yeah.
So maybe there's a spot for Cincy at the beginning, but like I said, long term, all right, Ohio State is lingering. I think Oregon is lingering still.
Oregon have 1 loss or 2?
They have one.
Okay.
Okay. And that, winning last week against UCLA sets them up pretty well.
Beating UCLA does help. Yeah, you're
I
right.
was going to say, considering that, you and I have talked about the slaughter that will commence in the Big Ten, especially if there are no survivors, which is possible, then, for as much talk as I've talked about Ohio State being on the outside, getting ready to pounce, Oregon could very easily be on the outside, ready to pounce, especially if we have no survivors in the Big Ten, and that includes Ohio State taking another loss, because that will totally help Oregon.
Yeah, that would be huge for them. I don't see that happening though until Big Ten championship game. Like I just don't see it. Oh no, I could see Michigan beating them. I think they play them like week 13 or something like that. But let's say Michigan State at 8 beats Michigan at 6. And then Michigan beats Ohio State. Then I think you get Oregon in. I think you get Michigan State in, obviously, at that point, too. So you get Michigan State, Oregon, and then Alabama right now I don't see beating Georgia. So I think you get Georgia. I think Alabama would be out. So Oklahoma maybe as a 4th.
So hold on. Let me see. Do they play this week? No, they're on a. Oh, they do play. They play Texas. Okay. So I think when the playoff comes out next week, you're looking at, assuming they don't lose, Georgia. I think the winner of Michigan State is probably in.
Easy, yeah.
I think Alabama is in.
Maybe, yeah.
And then I think you're looking at one of Cincy and Oklahoma.
Yeah.
Because Oklahoma is still the fly in the ointment right now. Because they're still undefeated. They're still 8-0. They're still 8-0. They're 4th in the AP. And while they're not doing it very convincingly, they just keep surviving.
Is it Oklahoma or Oklahoma State that plays Texas Tech this weekend?
Oklahoma plays Texas Tech.
Yeah, so they don't even have a head coach right now. So they're really probably not losing.
Yeah. So, I mean, when you look at the playoff teams, so to speak, I mean, Cincinnati's playing Tulane, not a problem.
Yeah.
Oregon is playing Colorado, not a problem. Oklahoma is playing Texas Tech, not a problem. Okay, you want to try and spew up Florida against Georgia? Okay, fine. I mean, the only real game is Michigan State.
No, I mean there's some good games this weekend. No.
I'm talking about as far as teams in the playoff conversation.
Oh, okay, all right, yeah. Then yes, that's fair.
Okay. Well, I guess if we're going to include Ohio State in that playoff conversation, then Ohio State, Penn State. Although after last week, I don't understand how you can even talk about that being a game. Okay, is Penn State suddenly going to show an offense after they put up 18 and couldn't move the ball against Illinois?
Technically, you still have Kentucky. That's being talked about for a potential top end team. Now, I don't see Kentucky.
Yeah, that'll end after this week.
Yeah, exactly. I think that ends after this weekend too. Oh wait, maybe no, I don't. But Iowa, Wisconsin is an interesting one too this weekend. It does potentially have some playoff implications, but not so much. Iowa hasn't been that impressive, and they've already lost to their bad team. So it's more of, are they going to continue to lose to bad teams? Are they going to let somebody like Wisconsin walk over them who they should beat easily? And right now, I believe they're still an underdog in that game. Yeah, they're a 3.5-point dog. So there's good games, but with playoff implications, it's Ohio State and then Georgia. And everybody else doesn't have too much to worry about.
Yeah, not much there. So yeah, we just kind of ran through the games this week as far as, major major games. Like I said, outside of Michigan State, and you want to go with Auburn, Mississippi, Ohio State, Penn State. They're the only real ranked games this week. There's not a whole lot as far as moving the needle, shaking things up as far as on the college football calendar. We'll come back to picks later. Let's go to the NFL because there's plenty to talk about on the NFL. And we already made a little bit of a reference to it, but since we just got off college football, let's tie it in. Carson Palmer was on Dan Patrick's show, and he let out a little nugget about USC potentially looking at Mike Tomlin for head coach. So, of course, Tomlin has a post-practice, media briefing, and somebody asked him, and Tomlin, let's say he took a little offense to it. Basically said there's no booster that could write a big enough check. He asked why Sean Payton wasn't being asked that question, which I thought was interesting. Basically left it as no shot in hell. You and I had the conversation. I get why Tomlin says it. Like Carson said, USC might want him. He never said that they were talking or Tomlin had indicated an interest. And, from a Tomlin perspective, why would you? I mean, the only way I could see Tomlin, NFL coaches don't like going to college. It's college going to the NFL, not vice versa. It's like NBA coaches suddenly want, when the Duke, when Coach K said he was leaving Duke. I mean, they promoted from within, but you're about NBA coaches coming to Duke. But unless Tomlin thought that the Steelers were just decaying, which we could argue if that's the case, or if he didn't have a say in what they're doing post-Ben, which is next year, then I could see an argument for him maybe looking at USC. But I just don't, the Steelers don't move on from coaches easily. I mean, guys stay there for decades before they, change the head coach. So, yeah, I'm pretty sure that Tomlin has a pretty firm grip on the pulse of that organization, has his seat at the table as far as the direction of that organization. And USC not a viable option for Tomlin.
Yeah, and I think the reason why he scoffed at it is I think the people asking that question don't understand the history of the Pittsburgh Steelers ownership. Bill Cowher basically had a lifetime contract there when he won the Super Bowl. Cowher only stopped being a coach because he didn't want to coach anymore. He wanted to retire. Tomlin came in right after that. He was a great defensive coordinator for us with the Vikings when he took that job. And, he won a Super Bowl with Big Ben. So you can't really – the Steelers organization is very loyal. They're going to keep him around, and they're going to make him feel comfortable, and they're going to pay him enough to keep him around. He's going to look at the USC thing and be like, I have no desire to do that when I already have a team – I have an owner that's going to back me as the head coach and allows me to make these judgment calls because I've proven myself here. I don't need to prove myself. I don't need to go back to college because I'm failing as a coach. I don't think that Pittsburgh's necessarily a dying franchise either. I don't think that they're necessarily going to be bad for long. They do have good pieces on both sides of the ball. That defense, when healthy, is still got some of the best players in the game on it. You have the ability with the Pittsburgh offense to have some game changers there. I think maybe a mentality shift within the locker room could go a long way there. Maybe Tomlin can have a bit more say in that, but that could also be the reason why he doesn't want to go to college. College is very much a locker room mentality and getting everybody on the same page towards the same goal and same purpose. And it's on him as the head coach to get that done. In the NFL, he has position coaches that can take over it and run those things, and he doesn't necessarily have to worry about that as much. People want to look for these big high profile NFL coaches to go to to go back to college because Saban did it with Miami. And that was a completely different set of circumstances when he did it. Like, he did it because his wife was so used to being involved and, being part of the recruiting process, setting up, dinners and all these things, that she was bored. And she told him, like, I want to go back. I want to go back to college. I felt important. I felt like I had purpose. And we already know that you were successful there. You could be successful here, but for our happiness as a home, let's go back. So he did it for his wife. Commendable. It paid off for him, obviously. Tomlin's not going to see that benefit because he doesn't have that same kind of push from home, so you're not going to get that. It's just a silly argument. And it's a silly thing, and they're just trying to really just drum up any kind of – they're going to expand on it because Carson Palmer's saying it. But like you said, just because USC wants him doesn't mean they've ever talked to him, doesn't mean that he has any desire to go. It's just a random name that gets thrown out.
If you want to look at like NFL coaches to go to college, you got to look at like Adam Gase, Bill O'Brien, people that look completely lost.
No, Bill O'Brien's not a head coach.
No, Bill O'Brien's not anything.
Bill O'Brien's not even a quarterback coach. He's ruining Bryce Young right now.
I would say Bill O'Brien should be a car salesman.
Yeah.
But going back to a conversation on last week's show, ASU had a really bad loss 2 weeks ago. And I asked the question about, is Herm Edwards kind of wearing out his welcome? Because, Herm went to ASU. That program was down. It was supposed to be a culture change, a man to help boys kind of thing, blah, 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 blah. And I feel like looking at the Herm Edwards situation is somewhat similar to looking at a potential Mike Tomlin situation, in that if Tomlin went somewhere, Tomlin and Edwards are similar in that Tomlin's going to want to do a culture check. Okay. It's going to be my way, look at me. I'm the, you guys are young, listen to me. I'll lead you, blah, 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 blah. And, I get that the mini beard has only been here a week. So you're still learning these things, but the older kids get, the less and less they like to believe that you know what you're talking about, and they tend to think that they know everything. So when they get to college, they certainly don't want to listen to anybody. So whether that's Herm Edwards, Mike Tomlin, whomever, it's ultimately not going to go well.
Yeah, and you see that it's the kids that want to listen in college that end up actually being something in the NFL. Look at this guy. Well, about time you show up. Hour and 15 minutes in.
Perfect.
Let me just say something here real quick. I like how the visual's going on screen, but I need to be all the way on the right because you've got you've got weak facial hair to my left. You've got that magnificent stash to my right, and then you've got the total package in the middle. So I feel like you, Chico, should be in the middle, and I should be on the right. So
it's
we
like
can
a
show the
Pokemon
progression.
evolving.
Exactly.
I'm not changing the dynamics here. Okay, just live with it for now.
You suck.
If Chico showed up on time, we could do these things. But
Look,
I'm the one that's
work
notorious
for a
for
living. Okay, not all of us can just be popping babies out and take time off. All right,
and getting paid to do it. Thank you,
bastard.
So we were just talking about Mike Tomlin and the whole USC thing there, Chico. You got any thoughts on that?
I was comparing Mike Tomlin to your boy Herm Edwards in that, you and me talked about last week how Herm might be wearing out his welcome with, kind of that father, to boys kind of idea running that program, and that Tomlin would kind of be coming in as a similar guy to Herm.
Yeah, I mean, possibly, but kind of what Josh was saying earlier. I don't see Tomlin leaving. Steelers don't just get rid of coaches. Like, they just leave when they want to leave. I feel like Tomlin wants to at least try and win one more before he hangs it up, or see what he can do with another quarterback that's younger. He had Ben in his youngest years, but maybe start off with an actual rookie quarterback and see what he can do and develop that way. I don't see Tomlin going to college, but that SC job is, exciting for some.
Yeah, James Franklin.
Pete Carroll.
Kellen Moore, baby.
We're gonna start
that
Chico,
now. Okay.
we need to have a conversation about you and Kellen Moore. This is 2 weeks in a row now. You've really rode Kellen Moore hard. Like, is there something you need to tell the people about you and Kellen Moore?
Well, nothing. Boise State boy, Idaho. He's good. Played on blue turf.
What does that have to do with USC?
They need offense. They need someone that can dial up plays so they can start winning again.
So why not Josh McDaniels?
College football is great, but it's a little bit better when you got West Coast teams competing in the championship.
I've said you want an offensive genius, get Josh McDaniels. Go. Sean McVay's already in LA. Let's get him to USC.
Josh McDaniels isn't leaving ever.
Clearly, he's going to wait for Belichick
Denver,
to die.
Not after he, finagled the Colts in that whole situation.
That was a masterful play, though. It was very well done.
It was all Bill's plan.
They really trust the process over there, let me tell you.
So let's after we've gotten through your Kellen Moore love affection, let's talk about other people that aren't real smart, like the guy who got Brady's 600th touchdown ball. So Mike Evans, being the astute guy that he is, catches Brady's touchdown and then proceeds to hand the ball to a fan, not realizing that it's the 600th touchdown ball until he got told by the equipment guy, who then has to go and barter. Now, this guy gave the ball up without ever reaching an agreement. All right, all the stuff that he ends up getting comes after the fact. All right, that's the first problem. Even Brady on Monday Night Football said the guy wasn't real smart. He gave away all the leverage once he gave away the ball. But here's what the guy got. He got 2 signed jerseys and a helmet from Brady, signed Evans jersey and his cleats, $1,000 credit to the team store, 2 season tickets for the rest of this season and next. And apparently he got crypto from Gronkowski, from Brady, and somebody else. Is that enough for a ball that supposedly could have got him at least $500,000 on the market?
Allegedly. I mean, he could allegedly get $500,000. He probably would, but at the same time, if you're the guy, especially dealing with Tom Brady and how fickle Tom Brady is, if you go in there with the leverage, I bet he doesn't get as much as he ended up getting for doing the right thing or being the nice guy. I like the crypto bit, because I know that was something that somebody had brought up after the fact, and they were like, that's actually a good idea. Let's do that. And I think they gave him like 1 Bitcoin. So he essentially just got $63,000 free. So not mad at that. I think, what was it? Like, he got like 2 signed Brady jerseys and then some Mike Evans stuff. I mean, those Brady jerseys are going to be worth some money. And, if he keeps it for a long time, those are all good investments to keep around. So it's not bad. I probably, go ahead.
The thing is that this guy is like a hardcore Bucks fan. Like, he said he was never going to sell the ball. He just wanted to keep it. So I don't think he's taking any of this as an investment. I think he just wants to put it like in a frame and have it above his bed.
That's what it takes for some people, though.
Nothing wrong with that.
If Derek Carr gave, right? If Derek Carr gave Chico a signed jersey, like, he'd keep it above his bed.
I'm not going to get $4 for it, so yeah.
Fair.
I know one guy that would buy it, but that's it.
Derek Carr? Just buy it back from you? Put it in his house.
Oh, yeah.
Derek Carr's the only quarterback in history to have 2 90% completion games. So that's
dope,
worth, yeah. So $2 for each game. That's why it's worth $4.
And he wears the number 4.
Fair. Good point.
There you go.
So would you rather,
Ooh.
there we go.
That thing.
Good cue up here.
The
on
old,
the
the old
chat.
Tony Romo.
Would you rather have taken stuff that he got from Brady and Evans and the team, or would you have taken Tony Romo's suggestion and asked for a day with Giselle?
That depends. Is she going to put out?
What? Now hold on, Josh. Because now you're changing your stance. You originally said you wanted the context from Giselle, not Giselle.
I want her contact list, but if she's not going to give that, like, what am I getting? Like, I don't want just dinner with Giselle.
I'm taking all the stuff the guy got. Just telling people I have that.
Yep. I don't want Tom Brady sloppy
Chico-
seconds in anything.
Chico's a ladies' man. He doesn't need Giselle.
That goddamn mustache will bring in the ladies, that's for sure.
I don't know where you get your facts from.
So of course Romo, goes on and says this, and now cancel culture is immediately after Tony Romo for making this comment. Is there anybody that cancel culture will not touch? I mean, I assume Romo said this pretty tongue in cheek. I don't think he was that legit about the.
I heard he was dead serious.
That come from your sources?
I got a couple sources over there, so yeah.
I'm stuck on the who can't be canceled. Rob Manfred, Roger Goodell,
They can't get Rob Manfred, baby.
Dan Snyder.
That's true. All the guys that we'd like canceled can't
get canceled.
Dan Snyder is something else. That whole
Right.
situation.
Real quickly, for those overbackers in the World Series game, you're still sweating. The Astros had second and third with one out. The score is now 6-2, so all you need is a run, and they could not get the run in, a strikeout and a fly out. So 6-2, top of the seventh. You still need another run. Still looking. So since Chico's here, now's a good time to dive into John Gruden. 'Cause that's not going away. The John Gruden thing has taken a little bit of a turn. Confidants have suggested that he explore whether or not he can sue the NFL for damages. It is under the idea the information was leaked by someone with intimate knowledge of the NFL's investigation of the Washington football team. Gruden made his first public statement since his resignation/firing and said the truth will come out. Now, fast forward a few days after that, with some stuff that's happened over the last 48 hours, Mark Davis, the Raiders owner, has come out and said that Goodell should not just release it, but they should at least be able to see it. Goodell says they're not releasing anything because some of the football team employees have asked for anonymity. And
You want to try that again?
No, I'm not going to. I can never get it out. It's horrible. They don't want to be known. There we go. Let's go with that.
Okay.
And, it's just this whole. All right, let's just say it's a clusterfuck. It's a clusterfuck because you have these documents that a little bit was leaked enough where you got a coach fired, essentially. We can say resigned, but fired. Davis said we talked to the agent, we came to a buyout agreement, whatever. But that was it. That's the only thing we know. I mean, we know some supposed things, pictures and whatnot, but we don't know what's in there. And the NFL, who's supposedly done all this investigation, I mean, what have they done to the football team?
They took their name away.
Yeah.
That's what they
that
did.
went nice.
They took their name away.
But I mean, like, I mean, you have that combined with the Deshaun Watson thing, which we're going to get into in a minute too. I mean, what is Goodell doing with anything? He's just like getting all this stuff and then just letting it sit there. He's not handling a damn thing.
Do you expect him to? When's the last time Roger Goodell cared about anything that wasn't suspending Tom Brady?
But this is my point, okay? You had Ray Rice on video punch a woman in the face and drag her out of an elevator.
Yep.
He was slow to react on that. You had Tom Brady not hand over a cell phone. He suspended him for 4 games. And now we have documents that had supposed racist remarks from a coach that is now gone. Photos of women clothed, barely clothed, whatever. Okay? Basically a whole organizational mess. And he's like, we're investigating it. Don't worry about it. I got it. We're good. But you can't see it, by the way. No, none of that.
I mean, perks of having your own multi-billion-dollar corporation, basically, that you control. You get to decide the narrative and what gets in and what doesn't.
But how can you tell me that my employee is in these documents? Okay, he said this enough where I'm forced to get rid of him, but I can't see anything.
No, he wasn't forced to get rid of him. He resigned. He took himself out. I think that therein lies like the issue and why it's not being released. I think if Gruden would have fought and been like, no, like somebody leaked this, they're trying to taint my name. Like if he would have fought to stick around and forced like Davis to fire him, I think Goodell would have had to release more, or at least let the owners see it. I think it probably would have gone that way.
Chico, do you believe in what Mark Davis said, that they're the Raiders, they're used to this?
Oh yeah. Yeah, it's you see it, people don't talk about it, but Raiders are always getting the short end of the stick. But I agree with him.
I mean, Daddy Al sued the league. Brady Tuck rule. Raiders history doesn't go well. I mean, they got a lot of championships.
Immaculate reception.
More than the Cardinals.
What do the Cardinals have? Any history?
J.J. Watt.
A fake record.
Yeah. You want to talk about disrespectful teams? Let's talk about the Arizona Cardinals for a minute. They get good the moment that Larry Fitzgerald is no longer physically able to play. Guy basically became a cripple for that team. They never won him anything. As soon as he's gone, they want to win.
When you get a hill person from Minnesota off your team, you finally become better, all right?
Hey, man, I will fight you. That man learned how to catch a ball from Chris Carter. Put some respect on his name. He's Chris Carter's ball boy.
He was the ball boy, too. I remember.
He was. For Randy Moss and Chris Carter.
I was around living in that area when that was going on. I see things.
You saw things.
Let me ask this question.
Potato.
We look at Zach Wilson and his turnover problems. Ooh. We got on Daniel Jones for his fumbling problems. I could go down the list. I'm sure Josh has yelled at Kirk Cousins a time or two for throwing a pick here and there. Why is Patrick Mahomes getting looked over? Patrick Mahomes has thrown more interceptions this year than Aaron Rodgers has thrown in 3.
Yeah.
Okay, he has the most interceptions of anybody in the league right now. I mean, he is on pace interception-wise to be, get ready for this, Jameis Winston.
30 and 30.
And nobody's even mentioning it or look at it. It's everything around him that is the problem. Why is he getting a pass?
He hasn't done it.
You gonna be Mahomes' mommy over there? You want INTs changed?
he's winning me money, yeah.
I mean, I've never seen Travis Kelce not be able to catch a ball or Tyreek Hill not be able to catch balls. So we talked about this, though, a couple weeks ago. We said that Mahomes got away with a lot of stuff for a long time because people had trouble figuring him out. And his throw motion was different. Like he had a lot of mechanics that took teams a lot of time to figure out, and he was great at extending plays. He's now, the highest paid player in NFL history. He's won a Super Bowl. He's talked about as being the next Brady. You give him all this confidence, and you have all these people whispering in his ear and his family living off of his celebrity and all this stuff. It's things you never really saw with Brady. And I think that maybe he's lost a little bit of that edge now, because I think that he's just playing reckless. Like when he was making these risky throws and stuff before, they were calculated, and he was trying to positively affect the game. I think now he's just out there doing it because he's like, well, it worked in the past. Like, I'll just try it here. It's not calculated anymore. He's just doing it. And with the flack that, his brother's getting and his mom is getting and his wife or fiance is getting, it doesn't help the situation at all.
Chico?
Oh, sorry. Something came up I was looking at real quick that you guys might want to know, because it's one of those things that happens every time around this year, and that is J.J. Watt is likely out for the year.
Yeah.
Oh, no, you're kidding. J.J. Watt's hurt?
Yeah.
Well, it's funny. I went in our chat earlier and I said, there is the J.J. Watt injury, because as always, we expected it. And now it went from a shoulder injury that was going to keep him out of tomorrow's game to he's done for the year. So big surprise.
The first chink in the armor of the Arizona Cardinals. It's always J.J. Watt.
Man.
It is. He hasn't, played a full season, a couple of years now.
4 or 5.
Yeah.
JJ. I mean, he played 2 more games than I expected him to. I had him at 4, and he got to 6, 7, 8.
What are they
like
gonna?
that.
They're going.
They're 7-0.
Yeah, they're going for 8. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, so,
but back to your Patrick Mahomes dilemma with him throwing all interceptions, being looked over. I just think it's because he didn't do a lot of that maybe right away in the beginning. He didn't play his first year, played the last game of the season, and then came in and people were like, whoa, who is this guy? Backpedaling, throwing it 60 yards downfield. I'm an avid watcher of football. I'm an AFC guy, and I still was trying to figure out who the hell Tyreek Hill was. So I think a guy like that being explosive too, and everyone's trying to figure it out, and Mahomes just dumping it out there. It took people a second, but I don't know. I don't think he's quite figured out. I think he's just having a bad year coming off that 2 back-to-back Super Bowls and extensive, play in the playoffs. You get a little tired. The body's not there. So, he could be injured and we just don't know it either.
The biggest thing that I've noticed is teams are, and it's easier said than done, but teams are having a lot more success with it, is that they're not letting Tyreek run 50 yards down the field and get a huge chunk or get a touchdown. They're not letting Travis Kelce get the ball and run 50 yards after the catch. They are basically setting defenses up that, right, especially with Clyde Edwards-Helaire out, they have whatever little respect they had for the run game, they have none now. And what they're doing is they're just playing back, and they're saying, if you're going to move the ball, that's fine, but you're going to move it incrementally. You're not going to just take these large chunks at a time and get down the field quickly. And I think the Chiefs haven't adapted to that yet. They're so used to getting big plays and getting chunks at a time that the idea of getting 5-6 yards at a time and just moving methodically down the field isn't something that they can necessarily, I'm not saying they can't do it, but it's not something that they're comfortable with. And until they get comfortable with it, I think they'll continue to struggle. Now, saying that, they play the Giants on Monday night. If there's ever a chance to get comfortable, that would seem to be it.
Yeah, but we said the same thing when they played Philly. They didn't look super comfortable in that game either.
They scored, though. I mean, we know the defense is going to give up points, but they scored. I mean, they scored, 38? I mean,
Yeah,
we're coming
I think
off
it was 38.
we're coming off a game this week where they scored 3 points. That's the alarming thing. All right? It's not alarming if they lose in a shootout or if they win where, they scored 45 and they gave up 40. These are the things we expect. All right? When you score 3, now it's the question of what is the problem? Is there a real situation here? All of that.
Madden curse. That's all this is.
They're playing like they're the Raiders from the 70s. Just dump it as far down the field as you can. Just they don't have the defense.
That's why you have the mustache. Stuck in the 70s.
So bringing up the fact that the Chiefs scored 3, they scored 3 against the Titans. The Titans have back-to-back really good wins against the top teams in the AFC. So the question now is, how legit are you taking the Titans? Because to me, this hasn't moved the needle for me when it comes to the Titans. I know that the Titans are good enough to win the division, which they probably will. We've seen the Titans in the playoffs before. But, I mean, go back to 2 weeks ago. You're looking at it as, well, they beat the Bills and the Chiefs, who all things considered people assumed would be the top 2 teams in the AFC coming into the season. Okay, well, you held the Chiefs to 3, which is impressive. The Chiefs certainly aren't the team that we thought they would be at this point, and they're still trying to figure things out. And you beat the Bills, and if Josh Allen had kept his feet, you probably didn't. So I'm not sure how much I'm really buying into anything. The needle still hasn't moved for me. They're not. There's nothing that they've done that have changed the way I look at them.
That's because Tennessee will only go as far as Derrick Henry will carry them right now. Tannehill's not doing anything with Julio. We're not seeing any offensive passing game really come to life. Defense has improved, so we have seen them improve there. So are they getting better? Yes, but it's only going to go as far as Derrick Henry goes, and unless Ryan Tannehill can figure out a way to get Julio some actual yards and to make some actual passing plays in the game, this team will make it to the playoffs and they will end up stalling out because you can't expect Derrick Henry to carry it 400 times a season. You just can't. He probably wants to, but he can't physically do it.
Yeah, with no real passing attack, even with Derrick Henry there, they're not really doing a lot of play action to open it up. Like even A.J. Brown's been quiet, which everyone thought he was going to have a more explosive season year with Julio on the opposite side. But Julio's starting to look like himself at the end of his career with Atlanta too, beat up, not doing much, getting a few yards here and there, but not getting any touchdowns really. And I couldn't tell you who their tight end is either, to help out with it. Johnny Smith.
Isn't Johnny in New England now?
Yeah.
Is he in New England now?
Yeah, but defense has, like you said, the defense has improved a little bit. But yeah, you're gonna have to just hope Henry can carry you all the way to the playoffs and to the Super Bowl if you want to win. But if something happens to him, then you're done. They'll win the division. The Colts are really the only other threat there, I think. And the Colts can't, win a game with a guy with 2 broken ankles. So I just don't see him getting far in the playoffs if they make it.
It's Delaney Walker.
That guy's 110 years old.
I was going to say, is he still alive?
Yeah, wow. It's Deion Yelder. Yeah. He's 26. Yeah, sure. So whoever that guy is, but it's him and Delaney Walker. That's it.
So Josh, as you know, before the season, I talked up the Chargers a lot as far as being winning the West, Herbert for MVP. Winning the West is looking okay right now. Herbert MVP, not so much. A team we didn't talk about, and a guy we didn't talk about for MVP, was Joe Burrow and the Bengals, who are currently the top team in the AFC. Coming off of last week and what they did against the Ravens, I am starting to, and I was kind of buying in before the Raven game. The Raven game just kind of solidified it. I'm starting to buy into the Bengals. This isn't the same old Bengals. Burrow's kind of turned that thing around. He's changed everything. So are the Bengals legit to you?
Yes and no.
That's how the question works.
Yeah. So let me start off by saying Joe Burrow's not going to be MVP. He may be picking up steam in the vote, but he's not the MVP. It's going to be Derrick Henry as of right now. Joe Burrow's not really the reason why that offense is taking over. Joe Burrow's making the throws, but if he didn't have Jamar Chase playing the way Jamar Chase is playing right now, I don't think we'd be talking about that passing game as much as we have. And Jamar Chase was my dark horse for Rookie of the Year, so that's not looking too bad right now. The Bengals is a good team, but what we're not seeing is I haven't seen a lot of pressure. Like, that was the big dig on Cincinnati, was you're going to get Burrow killed because he doesn't have an offensive line. For some reason, I don't know what it is. They're just not blitzing. They're not putting enough pressure on him. I think you get those teams that start putting that pressure on, and it'll get better. But until then, they're good right now. That the offense is nasty, but that's about it.
I mean, I like the Bengals. I like Joe Burrow. Kid's good. I was a little skeptical about when they didn't draft the offensive line to help out with him after last year's injury, but Jamar Chase is playing unbelievably well. Obviously, I pretty much locked him in for Offensive Rookie of the Year. But yeah, you're right. There isn't a lot of teams pressuring that line, seeing if they can, get through and get on him. But as for him being the MVP, I had Josh Allen at the beginning of the year. I still think he can pull it off, but Josh is right though. At the moment, Derrick Henry is the MVP.
All right, now we're all laughing. Oh, God.
What's that like?
One other thing Burrow said when coming off of the Ravens game was they asked him about the crowd noise, and I'm sure Josh you'll love this. He said, SEC stadiums are louder than anything I've encountered in the NFL. It doesn't bother me.
Yeah. Welcome to having only 60,000 people in your stadium compared to 100,000.
Well, they're also lunatics in the SEC, so
they drink a lot of alcohol, man. They get loud.
It's true.
So, of course, but Joe Burrow, did the Bengals play the Chiefs this year? I don't remember. Have they played them? I don't think they played them. So I really want to hear him say that after he plays, in
Arrowhead.
In Arrowhead, because Arrowhead's loud, dude. I've been there. That place is ridiculous. Even when you're in the nosebleed seats, it's so loud. So, I mean, I've been to Derek K. Royal. I've been to UT games and stuff like that, and I've heard the crowds there. They are loud, but Arrowhead, and I've been to Seattle too. I've been to CenturyLink. They are by far the loudest I've ever heard. But him playing in Cincinnati, where people are just miserable every single day just because they live in Ohio, I can understand why you would think that SEC stadiums are louder, because they are. You have people that are actually excited about football in the SEC.
They have the horseshoe, okay?
Oh, Ohio State University. They were relevant in an actual playoff game.
Chico, you're getting Josh started down the road. We don't want to go down.
Yeah, don't get me started on Ohio State.
Dominion, baby.
I love that you wore the shirt. That's so awesome.
Chico, have you ordered your Louisiana Monroe shirt yet?
I did because they win me money.
Nice. All right.
There we go. Okay, so a couple other NFL things before we move on to picks. The NFL owners are mad at Stan Kroenke. If you don't know who Stan Kroenke is, he is the Ram owner. He has apparently attempted to stop paying the millions in dollars in legal fees that he has related to moving the Rams to LA. He's like, you know what? I'm good. I don't need to pay those. So
I wouldn't either.
You can do that?
Yeah.
Not legally, apparently.
No. I was about to say, there's a lot of things I'm not going to pay for.
Dude, if you have enough money, you can do anything. Okay.
It's true.
Hashtag Squid Game.
So we are 6 days away from the NFL trade deadline. That the NFL trade line is not viewed the same way as the MLB trade deadline is, or even the hockey trade deadline. Usually the NFL trade line kind of comes and goes. We did have a trade today, Josh, one that confused you in that Mark Ingram went from the Texans to the Saints. Josh's let me make sure I have the exact quote correct. Why?
Nope, that's not the exact quote.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I looked at it and I said, why though? Like,
Oh, there we go.
Kamara not enough. Yeah, I was like, Kamara not enough for you? Why
Okay,
though?
so here I told you I had a response that I would say for the show. So here is your response. Okay, you have Jameis Winston back there as your quarterback. Okay, if you look at Alvin Kamara lately, he's getting 100-something yards, but that's not by running the football. It's because Jameis just dumps it out, and then Kamara has a little bit of space, and he does what he does. So because they're using Kamara so much in the passing game, and because the running game basically has nothing, they wanted a guy who can kind of the pile a little bit, and if Jameis hands the ball off, maybe get 3-4 yards. Because Kamara is not the move the pile type. Kamara is the zigzag, find a hole and take off type. So Ingram brings a little bit to the running game while you can still use Kamara to do everything that you're doing with Kamara.
Mark Ingram brings a Heisman Trophy to the running game, and that's where it ends.
Yep.
He doesn't get you 3-4 yards to carry.
I was going to say. Can't they take his Heisman away like they did Reggie?
Why?
Reggie Bush needs his Heisman back first off, all right?
No, he doesn't.
What?
Nope.
The man's a saint, all right?
Is he now? Because he dated Kim K, he's a saint to you?
Who?
Does Matt Leinart still have his hand up his ass?
Matt Leinart was falling forward into that end zone, Dan, okay?
Chico, don't you start with me on that.
Falling forward into the end zone. There's video proof. I got a picture downstairs. I'll show it to you.
Don't, I'm not even going down that road, Chico. Not even going down that road.
Nope. Not happening.
I think Mark Ingram, though, going back to the Saints, basically he grew up in that offense coming out of Alabama. Sean Payton drafted him to help out the back with Reggie Bush. And, yeah, he's older, probably slower. But I think he can help out and get 3 to 4 yards a game.
Yes, 3 to 4 yards a game. Yes. Per game, not per carry.
Game. Goal line situation. Bring him in. Get TJ Duckett. I know he's ready. We'll just hammer it in.
Not to mention, the one thing you're kind of overlooking here, Josh, is look at that division. As bad as – oh, he really – God damn you.
Hold on. Okay. All right. We're playing this game? All right, hold on.
Fight on.
Now he's going to pull something down. I hate you guys so much.
Ooh. You son of a biscuit. Those guys don't even play on the team anymore. It doesn't count.
Anyway, moving on. The thing that Josh doesn't realize is that look at the rest of that division. The Saints can still make the playoffs despite how bad they've been because the rest of the division is horrible. Okay, remember 3 weeks ago we thought Carolina was good, and then they've never won again. So
It's because Sam Darnold started seeing ghosts again.
well, yeah. So the Deshaun Watson thing has become a little more interesting in that, by all accounts, a trade has been agreed to. So let me get the exact thing here. Okay, so they've agreed. The Dolphins and the Texans have agreed on a trade, and Houston should get the 3 first-round picks they've been asking for. Stephen Ross, the Dolphin owner, approved the Watson trade, but he wants his legal issues resolved. Before a deal can, Ross wants to find out from Goodell if Watson would be suspended under the personal conduct policy and how many games he would miss if so. Goodell then on yesterday talked at the league owner meetings and said the NFL does not have enough information about the more than 20 accusations of sexual misconduct Watson faces, so the league can't decide what punishment, if any, the QB will face. Goodell also said at this time the league will not put Watson on the exempt list. He said, obviously, the police have been investigating and we don't have access to all that information at this point in time. We pride ourselves on not interfering in that and being as cooperative as we can in order to get all the facts. I think the process is still ongoing. What in the hell?
Again,
this is
let's
worse. This is worse than when the NBA didn't allow Chris Paul to go to the Lakers.
No, it's really not. It's not even worse than Roger Goodell saying he's not going to release the investigation on the Washington football team. This is just the same thing. It's consistent, if nothing else. So you say that they don't have enough information to follow his civil legal cases to make a decision on if you're going to suspend him. Probably because there's no video evidence of it, and that's why. I guarantee you they've done an investigation into it because they worked with the FBI when it came around to the false claims and extortion part of it. So I know that they do know things about it. They're not going to put them on the exempt list because in the event that everything goes away, they don't want to be looking like they did in the Brady situation, essentially, where they didn't have much evidence technically and went forward with it. Or you have guys like, your Greg Hardys where it was alleged, but then you also have your Tyreek Hills. So you're going to get a very inconsistent answer from the NFL on this. I don't necessarily think it's a bad thing for Miami because if you bring Deshaun Watson down there and pay all this, and then he gets put on the exempt list or he does get found to be guilty and can't play football anymore, you're making a really bad investment. So as far as I'm concerned, they haven't agreed to anything because you can't say we'll take your deal, but you have to meet these requirements for your deal to be done. That's not an agreement. So to me, it's a moot point. It's a non-issue. The hostage situation for Deshaun Watson will continue until the civil legal battle is over.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to happen. He won't be moved before the trade deadline, and pretty much everything Josh said is what I agree with. I don't see, with this, hey, you have to make it so that he can play or legal issues are taken away. You can't do it. They've been done with the investigation, though. They're just trying to figure everything out from here.
Stephen Ross needs to have a little bit of balls. All right. Like I said last week with me and Chico here. All right. You make a deal, you make it conditional where you have a little bit of something in here where if things go south with Watson, you're not losing all this draft capital, so you've got a little built-in buffer, so to speak. But on the other hand, if I'm making the deal for Watson, all right, and Goodell's going to sit here and say, well, I don't have enough information to put him on the exempt list, well, then fine, I'm playing him. Screw you. I'll play him. You can't do anything, then fine, I'll play him. All right, if I'm making the deal for him, then obviously I'm not worried about PR backlash with everything with all his baggage. So then screw it, play him. Play him. Force Goodell to do something. I'm sure Goodell in those league owner meetings said, listen, if you guys make this deal, you cannot play him or whatever. But if this was Jerry Jones going after Deshaun Watson, all right, you think Jerry Jones would trade for him and then just have him inactive? When Goodell's saying I can't put him on the exempt list because I don't have enough information, Jerry Jones would say, screw you.
I think they have to play it this way just to keep Texans fans sad, and I fully support that.
Texans fans suck.
They're okay with cheating.
I had one over for dinner the other night, so yeah, I can see how sad they are.
By the way, Jerry Jones, when asked about the team investigation, his 2-word response: "I'm satisfied." So,
like in a Robert Kraft kind of way.
who knows? Is there anybody outside of Deshaun Watson that you guys are looking at potentially being dealt by the deadline? I mean, the Texans dealt Mark Ingram. I would assume would like to deal Deshaun Watson, but Brandon Cooks, who came out and was not happy about the Ingram trade, apparently they don't want to deal him, even though he doesn't play, and they don't want to deal Laramie Tunsil, who probably still has that mask on.
Your heartbeat is familiar. Your smell is familiar.
So I don't know what the Texans are doing either. From a Giant perspective, what you guys think? They waited too long with Jabril Peppers. He tore his ACL, so they can't trade him. They've got to trade Evan Ingram. They're not going to sign him. Beyond this, after this season, he's a free agent. They're not going to re-up with him. So get whatever you can for him. Everybody, there's tons of teams that A, need a tight end, and B, believe that he's still good. So get something for him.
I got one.
Go ahead.
Oh, the scout's going to love this. You ready?
Oh, Jesus.
So the Jets right now are without a quarterback. So
they have Joe Flacco.
They traded for Joe Flacco the other night.
So, like I said, they're without a quarterback.
And by the way, you are getting the first professional start from whose name apparently now is Mike White, but that is Major Applewhite.
Yeah, Major Applewhite.
Yeah, apparently his name now is Mike.
Okay. Anyways, so the Jets need an actual quarterback. And, I can think of a guy who's had a bit of a resurgence this season, who has led the league in a couple of touchdown categories. And, I think the team that he currently plays for could probably get a nice haul from the Jets, could probably end up sneaking that first-round pick away from them if they really wanted to. Like, if the Jets want to try and salvage this season at all, and Robert Saleh would like more than just maybe a win, I think that they try to push Carolina for a trade for Sam Darnold. I think that that's a smart move.
No.
God. All that for that, you son of a bitch.
I had to drag it out a little bit.
Players that I think will actually be moved. Well, I could see be moved and it's been in the news for a while now, is Marlon Mack. Came back from that ACL injury. Of course, Jonathan Taylor took the spot, and he's still at third on the depth chart. But before the injury, he was picking up speed. He was playing well. I had him on my fantasy team. I thought the guy was going to be good. I actually wanted the Raiders to draft him a few years ago, but they went with Colin Farrell.
Oh, that defensive end. Yeah.
Who leads to my next person that should be traded? I say they move on from him. We got Max Crosby. Colin's been a healthy scratch most of this year. He comes in every now and then, mainly on the third down situation. But I would like to see maybe him moved, see if you can get something out of it. There's teams out there that we could use depth, like the Vikings.
Wow, rude. What did I do to you?
I don't know.
Somebody kind of forgotten about, because he's not in the news cycle right now, but he is due to come back, I believe, next week, if not the week after.
I think I have him written down.
Potential trade candidate, Mike Thomas?
No, Odell Beckham Jr. I was thinking.
That's
Odell's
not
got
bad.
no trade value.
Yeah.
Odell's got
Well,
none.
they're going to ask too much for him, and then nobody wants to pay that. But he does have trade
No.
value.
The Browns need Odell to actually play a few weeks and show that he is healthy. So then in the off season, they can try and deal him. Also, it would also help a salary cap situation if they waited till after the year. Michael Thomas is a guy, if you remember in the offseason, he was brought up in trade conversation, which kind of started that whole situation. Then he got surgery real late and blah, 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 blah. Now that he's getting ready to come back with the deadline up, you wonder if the Saints have just kind of moved, considering that they've played this season without him, if they just kind of moved on and they try and recoup something for him here and don't move him on.
For Odell, well, someone in the chat said trade Jimmy G for Odell. So,
No.
There was news. There was news earlier today about Jimmy G potentially in talks to go back to the Patriots again. So that
what a backup role?
yeah, because
Yeah, I
Mac
don't-
Jones looks fine. You don't need.
Yeah,
those
I was
guys.
going to say. Jimmy, you wonder if Jimmy G could end up, but see, they signed him to an extension. Jimmy G could be, if he stayed healthy, could be to Carolina what they hope Sam Darnold would be. They just want a guy that can move the ball, not turn the ball over much. They don't want him to take shots. Jimmy G will get a starting role somewhere. I mean, health is Jimmy G's problem, not his actual play. Not a Jared Goff situation.
No, yeah. Jimmy G, when healthy and playing, he wins games. He doesn't do it with crazy numbers, but he can still win you games.
If Jimmy
He's
G
a
has an
better-
offense around him, yeah.
Yeah, he's a better Trent Dilfer.
Does he yell at kids the same way though?
First off, that kid deserved it. All right.
Did he
I
though?
fully support Trent Dilfer and the way he reacted to that. That's what's his nuts kids? Phil Dawson's, anyways.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, that was Phil Dawson's kid.
Oh, then
I
I
can't-
wholeheartedly approve.
And Phil
And I
Dawson's
can't
on the
support-
coaching staff.
Fair.
I can't support anything that Trent Dilfer did because he got a ring thanks to that murderer Ray Lewis and a drunken Kerry Collins.
I was gonna say more so Kerry
That's all
Collins
factual.
than Ray Lewis.
Yeah, I remember Kerry Collins when he came to the Raiders. That piece of shit.
I remember
There
Rich
he is.
Gannon when he was on the Raiders.
MVP.
Yeah, he did great one year in Minnesota.
Oh,
Just one.
Here we go. We actually have
was it
a
a
fantasy
Desperate?
question that I can answer. Well, we actually have interaction. Let's answer a question.
Oh, shit.
All
That's a great
safer
question.
fantasy
Scante Warrior there.
start this week. Herbert or Mahomes? So obviously the Giants. Let me double check who the Chargers play. I don't remember off the top of my head.
Yeah, I'm trying to pull it up right now too.
Chargers play the Patriots.
You start Mahomes.
Yeah, I'd go Mahomes.
Yeah, I would. You're doing this reward game here, obviously, because of the way the Chiefs have looked. But it's hard not to have more faith in Mahomes moving the ball against the Giants defense than you do Herbert moving against the Belichick defense. Now, mind you, this is the same defense that had a 3-point lead with essentially no time left and let the Cowboys go down and tie that game and eventually win. So, but I would side with Mahomes. And as far as I don't want negative points again, the idea that you're going to get negative points with the Giant defense is really hard to grasp. Really hard to grasp.
This season, yeah. Last season, I mean, it's a little bit understandable, but this season, no. That's
I mean, the
inexcusable.
Giants defense looked good last week because it was Sam Darnold and PJ Walker.
Yeah.
True.
So, so that's that. I think that is it as far as NFL topics.
Oh, what about another trade player, Allen Robinson? Will he be moved? Or are they going to hang on to him and force him to play with Justin Fields?
Well, I mean, he got the franchise tag this year. Hasn't done much. Another guy I was thinking about potentially being a trade candidate is Robbie Anderson in Carolina, because his stock is kind of fallen off because Sam Darnold can't throw him the football. I mean, Robbie Anderson was like a top 10 receiver last year, and now he's not even a top 30. So, I mean, if you're somebody who actually wants a receiver, the receiver market should be pretty large. If you're looking, I just don't know price-wise what it would be and all that. And yeah, I mean, I think the Bears could be in a situation where, maybe they're not looking to move A-Rob, although, be hard to franchise tag them again. I mean, we've seen how the franchise tag works when you start doing it 700 times in a row. How you do Kirk Cousins. So.
You like that?
No.
He did. He liked every franchise tag he got. He said, keep them coming.
Oh. Bet he liked the 90.
Vikings liked him a lot. They just said, hey, we'll offer you all the money at one point.
He should have signed with the Jets. Made my life easier.
All right. So I will leave it. Chico,
You guys could have had Zach open.
Chico, I assume since you just walked in the door that you do not have any of your wonderful picks put together here yet.
Oh, I got a few. Some doozies.
Okay, so do we want to go to the picks first or the rant first?
I want to hear your rant.
Aren't we forgetting about Arch Manning?
Oh, that's right. I did skip over Arch. Good job. All right, so let's circle back to the Arch thing. All right, and I should have remembered because of that god awful shirt you're wearing. So, thanks to someone we associate with, who calls himself a public educator, although he's far from that. He threw out this idea that if Arch Manning was smart, he would go to Alabama because he wants to win championships. And
that's you.
Let me tell you how that is one of the most moronic statements I've ever heard in my life.
Mm-hmm.
First off, nobody picks their college with the idea of winning championships. Okay? They pick their college based on how it prepares them for the next level. Number two, while Alabama is indeed an SEC school, okay, let's look at where the Manning brothers have gone. Peyton went to Tennessee. Eli went to Ole Miss. Okay, what do both those schools have in common? They despise Alabama. Okay, if anybody ever watched any of the Eli's Places episodes on ESPN Plus, I would say Eli didn't even answer Alabama during the recruiting process. So what in the hell would make anybody believe that Arch is going to Alabama? Okay, Alabama, and sorry, Mac Jones, and sorry, Josh, I'm not trying to throw shade here, but Alabama doesn't exactly produce a bountiful of NFL-ready quarterbacks.
We have the most NFL quarterbacks in the league, though, right now. They're not good.
I was going to say, you want to put a disclaimer on that?
Yeah, I did.
We got a lot, but they're terrible.
Yeah, they're not great, though. By the way, just as we're talking about this, there is another Alabama quarterback that's catching a lot of hate this week, and it's Greg McElroy. No, Greg McElroy.
Well,
Greg McElroy. Greg McElroy was
championship, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
So he is now a commentator, and he commentated the
Yes.
Alabama-Tennessee game. And there was a late hit on Brian Robinson, probably about 4 or 5 yards outside of the out of bounds on Tennessee sideline. And Greg McElroy was like, well, I mean, what do you expect? The guy weighs 240 pounds. You do whatever you have to do to bring him down. And he said that he didn't feel that a late flag was worthy in that Tennessee game. He's like, you shouldn't throw a flag for that late hit. Like that's completely uncalled for. So Alabama Nation just decided to destroy him for that. So that's yet a fourth Alabama quarterback that's taking L's this week. Back to the initial question, though. Arch Manning's going to go to Ole Miss. And he's going to go to Ole Miss for one reason and one reason only, and it has nothing to do with where his family went beforehand. He's going to go for Lane Kiffin because Lane Kiffin gives him an offense where the Lane train.
Lane train, baby!
The Lane train is going to give him an offense where he can actually showcase his skills and he can learn how to be a little bit more NFL ready. I mean, Lane was a coach for the Raiders, not a successful one, but I mean, he did coach at the NFL level. So he knows how to kind of work with quarterbacks at that level. He knows what they need to expect, kind of anyway. So putting him at Ole Miss is actually a really good fit. I see people saying like Oklahoma. I mean, you have Kyler Murray that's been successful out of there, but no, that's not a good fit for him. He doesn't play that type of football. Tennessee, no one wants to go to Tennessee right now as bad as that team is. Like, yeah, they score points, but they don't beat anybody. So it's not really that good of a program. It's not the 98 program that Peyton was in. And Auburn's used to names like Bo Nix. If they get an Arch Manning there, they will never shut up and they'll ruin his career.
Well, look, so they still talk about Cam Newton. That's been, 10 plus years now?
2011, so yeah, 10 years.
Yeah.
So your Ole Miss thing works, assuming Lane is able to hang on. Okay, Lane and staying places long term is not a thing that goes hand in hand. So assuming Lane is there by the time Arch is ready to come, that could be a possibility. Staying in the SEC, okay, because I'm of the belief that you have two Manning brothers that went SEC. I don't feel that Arch is suddenly going out of the SEC. So if we're going to go with that, I'm going to throw two teams in here. And I'm going to go with the idea that Arch is looking to do something that neither Peyton or Eli did. He wants to resurrect the school. So staying in the SEC, he could go right, because we don't know who the next LSU coach is going to be. He could go to LSU, or, and that's not the one I'm picking, I'm going with this one more. He could go to Florida. Dan Mullen.
I think he's going to the West Coast. Yep, that's right. He's going to the West Coast. Welcome.
I just want to throw out there, his pick was so bad that the program kicked him out.
They're like, that take is terrible. Get the hell out of here.
Get the hell out of here. Absolutely not. Like, Florida, no. You can say what you want about Dan Mullen. If Arch Manning wants to bring back a program, he'll go to Georgia. Like, Georgia's been living off of transfer portal quarterbacks for the last decade. They haven't had a worthy quarterback since Matt Stafford, really. So you want to go bring somebody back, go to Georgia, beat Alabama, and win a national championship. That's what Arch Manning should do if he wants to revitalize. No, your take was just that bad it kicked you out. Rightfully so.
It was like, this is terrible. Get out of here. I think Arch is going to go to the Pac-12. He's going to go to USC. Him and whatever coach is there to resurrect. Well, Lane Kiffin's going to be back resurrecting the school. The Lane train's back to USC. Arch goes to USC. He gets to play in sunny Southern California, baby. And he's going to look at Notre Dame. He's going to look at Notre Dame on the schedule and be like, that's a win every year. Why we even have it?
If Arch was going to go to the Pac-12, why wouldn't he just go to UCLA?
Why would he go there? That place is trash. Have you been there? It sucks. The
Why
only
wouldn't he
thing
go to
the Rose Bowl's
Oregon?
for is the Rose Bowl or a concert.
Listen, with NIL deals being a thing, he just goes to Oregon. He's already
True.
going to get all the free swag. He's going to get a Nike deal. Like, what does he have to worry about? If I'm just in it for the money, I go play at Oregon.
Or here's a long shot. He's like, hey, Justin Herbert, great guy's great. My idol. I want to play for the coach that coached him. Oh, where's that guy at? UNLV, baby. Here comes Arch Manning. National championship. Calling it right now.
Chico,
Yeah.
don't do drugs before the show.
Didn't Colin
just really
Kaepernick
tired.
play for UNLV? No,
Who?
he played for Nevada. Never mind.
No.
I said
Oh,
Colin
Colin
Kaepernick. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh, we got
No,
UNLV's playing.
UNLV doesn't want to
Weekend
align
for the
themselves with Colin
rivalry.
Kaepernick. Calm down.
Hey, they retired his number a few weeks ago.
All
At
right.
UNLV?
So
He didn't
In
even play there.
Renault.
Oh, in Renault. Okay.
In Renault. What's up, North?
Okay.
all right. So picks or rant.
I want to hear your rant.
Okay. Does anybody else have a rant, or is it just me?
I have a rant. We're fine.
I don't
All right,
rant.
go ahead, Josh. You go.
Oh, me go?
Yeah.
First of all, let's talk about how fucking disrespectful this podcast was to me last week. Okay.
Whatever
You wanna-
do you mean?
You're stealing my jokes, first of all. You come in here with your mustache thinking you're all cool. Listen, you ain't shit, man. You ain't been in this game like me, okay? No, I'm just kidding. I'm fucking happy to have you here.
Come on.
Secondly, my actual rant. My actual rant's going to go back to our MMA topic this week. And it goes back to the whole like Paulo Costa thing, but it's not actually about him. It's about the athletic commissions and the way that they punish athletes for missing weight. This is something that I've been a huge I've been on it for many years. So if an athlete misses weight in an MMA match, they take 20%, sometimes 30%, depending on the state. So that goes to the opposite fighter. But when you have guys doing this blatantly, like Costa does, where he's just like, I'm not even going to attempt to make weight, and he doesn't care that he's losing 20% based on the amount of money that he's making. Some of these guys only make $20,000 for a fight. And if he's fighting a guy who's making $150,000 for a fight who just decides to be lazy and not make weight, yeah, he's going to get a nice little chunk of change on top of that. But he's also now going out there and fighting somebody that's way bigger than them who deserves to get, 80% of the fight purse because they actually did their job getting there. So my rant this week is fixing the athletic commissions. We need to work on something as a whole, or have like a unified body that deals with punishments for fighters that don't make weight and can't follow basic instructions on how fights work when you sign a fight contract. You need to take 80% of that fight purse, you need to give it to the other fighter. The other 20% they only earn if they win the fight. If they lose, that 20% that doesn't go to the other fighter goes directly back to the company. So short rant for me this week because I'm tired as shit. I've been in a hospital every day, but I kept it short, but I'm good. That's all I have to say on that.
Chico, do you have a rant?
No.
Okay.
Other than Notre Dame sucks, I don't think I have one.
All right, fair enough. Thank you.
Notre Dame
Okay.
does suck. I agree.
Shut up, Bama boy.
Oh, what? Huh? What?
Oh,
Excuse
another
me?
team that sucks, I just want to put out there, is the California Golden Bears. They're trash. They've always been trash. They're never going to be good. Jared Goff sucks. And Aaron Rodgers went to Butte. We're going to count that. We're not going to count Cal.
All right. So, even though for me and Josh, the baseball season has been done for probably 6 months.
It's been longer.
Well, I would say for Chico, the season was done before it started.
It's done in week 2.
The Mets continue on a daily basis to infuriate me. Okay? The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. And yet the Mets have to be the definition of insanity, because They have now gone through 8 people. Okay, let's run through the list here. Theo Epstein, Billy Beane, David Stearns, Brandon Gomes, Matt Arnold, Peter Bendix, Michael Gersh, Scott Harris. 8 people. All have said no to being the baseball operations. Okay, they went to the Brewers after David Stearns, after they got denied permission for David Stearns, to try and get permission for Matt Arnold. The Brewers have made it clear they're not giving you permission for anybody, and yet you keep going back. Okay? They have a guy in Brian Sabian who has openly said he'd like to be the baseball operations guy for the Mets, and yet they don't talk to him. Steve Cohen is apparently taking control of the search by himself. Sandy Alderson is not involved. Why is Sandy Alderson not involved? Well, I don't know. Sandy Alderson hired Mickey Callaway, who was sending his ding-a-ling to everybody who had a phone. And, he hired Jared Porter, who basically was the creepy guy at everybody's workplace that just wanted a female to touch him. So, wonderful hires there. So I have no reason why Sandy Alderson's not involved. But when Steve Cohen took over as owner of the Mets, he said, I played Little League once. That's about it. I'm going to let the professionals, Sandy and the people we bring in, let them run the baseball operations. Yet, who is he talking to right now when he's trying to get a head of baseball operations? You don't even have to follow politics to know who the hell I'm talking about. Chris fucking Christie. That fat fuck is... Hold on, let me get this right. Christie joined the Mets board of directors in February. And Christie's son, Andrew, also works for the Mets as a coordinator of amateur and international scouting. All right, there was already a problem of Sandy Alderson being involved and his son being like an assistant GM and them wondering how that was going to work. But no, I got this fat fuck who's from the state of New Jersey now involved with my baseball team and apparently my owner listening to him about what they should do. What the hell? This shouldn't be that difficult. Brian Sabian had a dynasty in San Francisco. Okay, he has World Series rings. He has credibility, and as far as I know, no skeletons in his closet that lead to sexual assault or harassment or anything like that. Okay? God forbid that they could have a gift horse kissing them in the mouth and they would take it. No, they have to be imbeciles and continually just ram their head against the wall over and over and over again. Like, who are they going to ask for next? They're going to ask for freaking Connie Mack to get dug up so they can get permission to be told no on him too? I mean, what the hell? I don't have a head of baseball operations. I don't have a general manager. I don't even have a freaking manager. They have nothing. I mean, shit, ask me for permission. I'm not going to say no. Hell, I could do as good a job as them. I'm done.
Couple things. Do you hate Chris Christie just because he ran your state into the ground, or is there something more behind it?
There's plenty of reasons why I hate Chris Christie. First off, all right, if you have the body type that Chris Christie has, don't let the press take pictures of you on a beach.
I do what I want. You can't tell me how to live my life.
Wasn't he the one wearing the baseball outfit a few years ago?
I think so.
He had a big old fupa.
Yeah, big old fupa.
Google his name and look up baseball outfit, and you'll be like, "Oh my god, this is amazing."
Unless you're under the age of 18, then your safe search is probably on, and you'll never find it. That hurt your feelings. I don't care. Anyways, Sabian wanting to come to the Mets and the Mets not caring is probably the most Mets thing ever, though. So it just makes sense, man. Like they put him in the friend zone before he even had a chance.
This is what I don't comprehend, and why the way they're doing this is so stupid. Okay, they keep going, right? They took their shot. They went for Theo. They went for Billy Bean. They went for, okay, you have to take the shot. You don't know what the answer is unless you do. I have no problem with that. But now they continue to go asking for permission to all these teams for guys that are lower on the chain, all right, in efforts to try and get, some up-and-comer. You don't need an up-and-comer right now. The last thing you need is a fucking up-and-comer. You need somebody that has some built-in credibility. Brian Sabian has credibility. Fuck, Michael Hill from the Marlins has credibility. Anybody who ever had a job in baseball and ran it for more than 2 years and didn't have a dick pic show up somewhere has more credibility than anybody in that organization right now. So what the hell is the problem? Stop trying to overthink it and be smart. This isn't a hedge fund. Go find somebody who's done it, say, here's the job, and go do it. And for Tack, DeGrom to San Francisco, go jump off the damn bay. Okay? Not happening. Screw San Francisco. Screw your freaking panda mascot or whatever the hell that is. Screw you for getting Chris Bryant. Fuck the Giants.
Hey, the Giants at least made the playoffs, though.
Yeah, well, the Mets are – here's how the Mets like to get in the record books. They like to be the team that held first place the longest amount of time without getting in the playoffs. That's how they want to get in. They want to be like the dumbest guy in the Guinness Book of World Records. That's what they go for.
That's Gunner.
That is Gunner. They have a long way to go to surpass him, my friends. So
hey, at least your team knows what it's like to be in first place.
Yeah, I don't know what that feels like.
Well,
that hasn't happened
Chico,
since
see,
91.
your problem is you took that Giant dynasty that they had over there, and you're like, wait a minute, they're just giving away parts now. Let's overpay for it. Let me get the 40-year-old Madison Bumgarner whose arm is falling off.
We'll take Zach Greinke, pay him. We'll take Bumgarner, pay him. You know what? We're going to draft a shortstop that looks like he could be a potential all-star. We're going to get him, and we're going to trade him for Shelby Miller and some yokel that no one even knows. And now the guy's playing in the World Series.
All right, he still hits 250. Calm down. He's not that good.
Oh, if he's above the Mendoza line, he's fine.
Well, yeah, being above the Mendoza line in baseball is
how did Lindor do this year?
He hit better than freaking Dansby Swanson. Calm down.
Hey, I know shortstops hit nowadays, but still all about the gloves, baby. Shut up about Robbie Ray, you piece of shit. He's a Giants fan, so he can.
All right, picks.
Picks.
Well, that's why he has a lot of. He knows how it used to feel. He's longing for that feeling again. So I get it. It's fine. So, hey, the Mets were in the World Series 6 years ago. It feels like 60. So I know how it feels to long for that same feeling.
Do you, though?
Diamondbacks were in the World Series in 2001.
And the Twins were in 91.
Hey, they beat the Yankees.
They did. For America.
You guys can do. You couldn't do it. You couldn't get past them in the playoffs. We did it.
That was one time. Let it go.
All that matters.
I was like, Chico clings to the one.
I cling to the two, so I completely understand. I had one in my lifetime, and I feel like that's all I'm ever going to get, and I'm really happy about it.
Me too.
Yeah. Picks. Where do we want to start with picks tonight?
Go wherever you want to go.
Well, let me tell you guys, Old Dominion plus 175.
Okay. Who are they playing?
Oh, Nikes. I forgot to write that part down.
Of course you did. Amateur.
Louisiana Tech.
Yeah, that's an easy win.
Yeah, Louisiana Tech's only favored by 4.5.
Old Dominion's an underdog?
Yeah.
What asshole made them an underdog?
They're the underdog at plus 175. The over-under is 52.
That's so disrespectful.
Chico, plus 175 is not a big enough underdog for you. That's
but The guys have been winning me a lot lately. In University of Louisiana, Monroe, we got right now. You bet them now. They're at plus 1,800.
Who are they playing?
They are a 27-point underdog to Appalachian State. Appalachian State did upset Coastal Carolina. They are 5-2. University of Louisiana Monroe is only 4-3. They're only one win away from tying them up. I'd say take them. They've been big underdogs the last few weeks and have either covered or won outright. Go Warhawks.
I'm pretty sure Chico just said something about sickle cell. I'm not sure.
Damn. Hey, man, you got to cut it out with the black jokes. Okay. First you compared Kimbo Slice to Harambe. Now you're talking about sickle cell on the show. Can't have this, man. I thought we talked about this.
We got. What's the other one? Forgot to write that one down.
Chico really needs to get in practice with these picks.
Listen, right? I just got off work. I'm tired. I'm here. All right.
Oh, that must have been really hard for you, bro. It's not like you're not getting a full
blessing
night's
you with
sleep
my
every
presence, okay? Not all of us get to hang out and eat hospital food for a week.
night. That I had to pay for.
That's terrible.
Yeah, I know. Anyways,
All right, Josh, what do you got?
I got 4. Taking quite a few dogs this week, actually, because I like a lot of these dogs in this game. Not necessarily to win, but to at least cover. First one being Florida at plus 14 against Georgia. I know I've watched this rivalry game every year because it is one of the most unpredictable ones. And it is the one that Georgia, whenever Georgia's doing really good, always loses to Florida. It never fails. I don't necessarily see that this year because I think Georgia's defense really is at the top of their game. But Florida always finds a way to keep these games close and make it competitive. So I like them. I like them to cover the spread. So I think it's probably going to be a touchdown or a 10-point game. I don't really see Georgia putting up that many points because their offense just hasn't been impressive. So I would say Florida to cover is a good bet there. Next one, Iowa plus 3.5 against Wisconsin. I think that they are really overvaluing Wisconsin here and just kind of underplaying Iowa based on recent play. I think this is a great turnaround game for Iowa. I mean, we've seen what decent schools have been able to do to Wisconsin this year. I think Iowa is still better. So them at 3.5, I see them winning that outright. And I also like the over. It's pretty low right now. It's at 36.5. I think Iowa might be able to cover that by themselves in this game if they come out the way I'm expecting. So I've got that one. Ole Miss plus 3 against Auburn. I don't know why Ole Miss is an underdog to Auburn. Somebody gave Auburn confidence that they didn't deserve, and now people are betting on them to win these games. So I think Ole Miss is an easy win in that game. I think they win that game by like 10. Bo Nix played one good game, and all of a sudden Auburn's like the Cam Newton Auburn all over again. Bo Nix is going to get humbled. The lane train is going to roll. That offense is going to put up big numbers. And then last one's kind of an easy one. Kentucky is a 1.5-point favorite to Mississippi State. I think that game's not that close. I think that Kentucky is still playing really well, even with that loss recently. I think they do beat Mississippi State. I don't think Mississippi State's that good. They haven't really shown me anything. It might be a close game, but Kentucky wins by a field goal at the very least. So for college goes, as far as college goes, those are my picks this week.
All right. 2 games you mentioned that aren't on my board, but one I agree with you, one I don't. I would be on the other side of the Kentucky game. I would take Ole Miss, and I would be on the lane train as well. I haven't fully committed to the lane train yet, but I would probably side with that. I am with you. One of my plays is Iowa. We agree with that. Just jumping off of what you said, and that I don't need to go into, but Wisconsin last week, Graham Mertz threw the ball 8 times. 8. You going to beat Iowa throwing the ball 8 times? No.
Nope.
So I'm on that as well. We've talked about the Michigan State game. I'm on that. I'm on the total right now. The total sits at 50. I'll take the under. I think that's a 24, 21, 2017 type game. I don't think it gets to 50 at all. So I'll be on that. Other underdog I'm on is Texas. They're getting 3 against Baylor. Baylor is okay. I think Texas can exploit them in spots. I think Texas overall is a better team. I mean, let us not forget that Texas had Oklahoma on the ropes before they choked. So Texas has shown that they can play with the quote unquote elite in the nation. So I'm on them. Let me find the totals here. What am I looking for? Okay. Be easier if I could just type these in.
I got one here that I was looking at. UCLA at Utah. UCLA is actually the underdog, 6.5. I would take them to win that out. Utah, I believe, is coming off a loss last week, so they might be a little tough, but I still think 6.5 points for UCLA is a lot. But the over-under is 61.
So, Chico, you can jump on the chip train. I'm off the chip train. We had that conversation
And
last
then
week.
it's what I just like because it's not against because it's against your squad, but North Carolina.
Yeah, there we go.
They're a 3.5 point underdog, I think, and that's a 62 total point I got on here. I take them to cover.
Clemson is playing Florida State. If you've paid attention to Clemson, they don't score points very much anymore. Florida State also isn't very good.
They got a defensive end playing quarterback. That's why.
So we're going to take the under 47.5 in that game. If that gets to the 40s, we'd be surprised. So we'll take the under there. And then the last under I'm going to take, or the last game I'm going to take, is Syracuse and Boston College. Syracuse made me a lot of money this year. They've been really good against the spread. They're favored in this game, and they're at home, which is where they play better. I'm not going to touch the spread. Spread's 6.5. That's a little high for me. I will take the under 49.5. That's what I will play there. Another group of teams that don't exactly light up the scoreboard very much. Boston College is obviously without their starting quarterback, Jerkovic. So take the under there. So that's it for the college.
I was looking at that one myself though earlier, the BC and Syracuse, and I don't know, kind of wanted to take BC in that.
All right. Any NFL for either of you?
Oh, yeah. I got one. 4-team parlay, NFC North, take them all to win. Money line. They're all dogs.
You are picking the Vikings to beat the
I'm
Cowboys.
picking the Pack, the Bears, the Vikings, and the Lions to win out this week. Pay me my money. I want to get it all in cash.
What's the
I got the Pack at 240, Bears at 175, the Lions at 145, and the Vikings at 110.
Okay, so you're not going to hit on like half of those.
I mean, the Vikings will probably mess it up. The Lions will finally get their win, and then the Vikings are going to miss a field goal to win for me. So, tales old as time.
Here's the thing, Josh. While Chico usually throws these things out, and we think he's delusional. One of the games he's got in there, I'm on.
2 of them for me.
Genius.
Yeah. I wonder if it's the same 2.
Well, I'm only on 1. So.
Oh yeah. Well, I wonder if all 3 of us are on the same one, because I agree with you on Detroit. I actually have Detroit beating Philly. Yep. So
get their first win.
Detroit is coming close to getting victories. They had the Justin Tucker 66-yard. They hung in there with the Rams last week. The Eagles are not good. And if Detroit can, hang in there like they have been, you know, I'm not going to play them on the money line necessarily, but I'll take the 3.5. I think they can. I think this could be a field goal game.
It very easily could be. Knowing the Lions, you think if Dan Campbell loses to Philly by a field goal in the last second that he cries again?
I want to know when he's going to bite off somebody's kneecap.
It's going to be.
Oh, it's coming.
What's his name? Jalen Hurts. He's going to rip both of his kneecaps off.
Holy. Dolphins are plus 700, boys. Just putting it out there.
What's the other one?
Hard
What's
pass.
the other one that you agree with, Chico?
Packers plus 6 against Arizona. I think this is the first loss for Arizona, especially losing J.J. Watt. I think that psychologically, Arizona's weak now. They've lost their star defensive player. I mean, they still have Chandler Jones, but still, this is the first real weakness that they've had. Aaron Rodgers really needs a win to kind of distance himself from the Vikings, who have been coming on surprisingly strong, but are about to hit a 5-game, 6-game losing streak here. So just to separate themselves in the division, kind of get a little bit of comfort. I see them playing really hard. I see them beating them. Plus, they're plus 6. So they keep it within a field goal. They still cover. So I'm not mad at that one. So Packers and Detroit, as far as NFC North, I can see both of those.
Yeah, I have the Packers here at 6.5. So.
Oh, okay. Either way, I'm still comfortable with it if it's under 7.
Anything else?
Yeah.
Oh, with the Cards too. It's what as of right now doubtful, but Hopkins may not play tomorrow.
It's true.
So they don't have Watt. You have basic game time decision for Hopkins. So you got to throw to Rondale Moore,
Christian Kirk,
AJ Green, baby.
But you got Chase Edmonds too. He can catch. So
That guy's good. Don't knock on him. All right. It's the
No,
only good thing about that squad.
AJ Green's good. Rondale Moore played for
Purdue.
Purdue. Yeah.
Boilermakers.
I'll say AJ Green plays about as often as Julio.
Same draft class, right? Both old.
It's true. Georgia and Alabama. I got 2 more. I actually took all dogs this week too. So I've got a 4-team parlay, all underdogs. We already said Detroit and Green Bay. I got Carolina plus 3 against Atlanta. Carolina's not good, but they're better than Atlanta as far as I'm concerned. So I could see Darnold doing just enough to get the win there. And then I have the Jags plus 3.5 against Seattle. That's my long shot. I only say that because Seattle's offense put up, what was it? Did they put up like 10 points in that game against New Orleans? Yeah.
Geno Jawbreaker, baby.
So the Jags have enough just in J-Rob to be able to put up points. Like that, he can get a rushing touchdown at least, and Lawrence can throw one. Like so, 14 points against a Geno Smith-led Seahawks team with DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett. Yeah, I like those odds. I could see them covering a 3.5. If that's a field goal game, it wouldn't surprise me. So those 4 underdogs would be that's my 14 dog parlay this week.
All right.
I'm surprised on real quick. I don't know if we mentioned or not. Titans versus the Colts. The Titans are underdog, 1 point.
Yeah, they are a dog in that game. Yeah,
I feel like they should win that almost pretty easily.
I would agree.
Even if you want to take the spread at +1.
Before we get to the lock of the week, let me go through a couple of games. Bengals laying 10.5 against the Jets. The Jets, like we said, they don't have a quarterback. Are they going to score at all? So, 10.5 isn't anything that I'm really concerned with. We already talked about the Lions. I'm on the other side, Josh. I'll lay the 3 with Atlanta. As far as I'm concerned, Carolina doesn't have a quarterback right now. I mean, they benched Sam Darnold last week. PJ Walker is, if you want to call a downgrade to Sam Darnold, if that's possible, PJ Walker might be it. So their offense is a mess. Falcons have actually, all of a sudden, the Falcons realize, hey, we drafted a tight end. We should probably use him. So they're starting to put things together. I'll lay the 3 there.
My fantasy team thinks that.
Two games I'm on the fence about. Chargers laying 5 to the Patriots. Not sure that I feel good with the 5. I think the Chargers win the game. And then Bucks laying 5.5 to the Saints. We just talked about how the Saints can't score. They struggled to score with Seattle. Are they going to put, what kind of points are they going to put up against the Bucks? Not sure there. The one game that I am on, and Josh, I know you will not argue this, is I can't find a reason to not lay 2.5 with Dallas. I think you're getting the low number because of the Dak situation. They're not 100% sure if Dak is going to play or not. I'm going on the assumption that he is, so I'm going to get the low number now. And even if he doesn't, then I've just got to look for them to, hope that the Cowboys win by a field goal. So it's a low number. I'll take the shot with it because if Dak plays, that number is going to go up.
Who's Dak's backup?
Whoa, it's a good question.
Kellen Moore.
Well, it's not Don Fanucci.
What?
I want to say Cooper Rush.
Ugh, that's gross.
What about Gilbert? Didn't Gilbert get the 2 spot?
I don't know if he's still there. I don't know what they're back.
Garrett Gilbert?
Yeah. Texas.
Colorado
boy.
State?
No, Texas.
Oh, still trash.
Yeah.
Okay, so lock of the week.
I got the lock of the week. That's the Rams versus the Texans.
So while you guys went with your underdog parlays, I'll give you the favorite parlay here. So Bengals, Bills, Rams, Bucks get you a little over even money. That's your lock of the week there. To wrap things up, while the Saints aren't scoring points, the Seahawks aren't scoring points. Their receivers are trying, supposedly, because I can't let this one go, as it was asked about in the chat. DK Metcalf got kind of put on blast by somebody in their OnlyFans account because he apparently had a relationship with this, I don't know what we'll call her, model, if that's what you want to label her. And he invited her over to the house. She was driving, and on the way there, he texted her to, hey, don't bother, turn around, and proceeded to tell her that he was at the bar or something, trying to talk 2 girls into coming over and having a foursome, and apparently couldn't land them, or he wasn't going to get them to agree by the time she got there, whatever the case may be, and it would blow up, and she blew him up for that. Now, I'm of the belief that, hey, she should look at DK being considerate. He didn't let her get all the way to the house before saying, hey, by the way, I was trying to get a foursome, not happening, you can go home.
I mean, that's a pretty sweet thing he's trying to do. But yeah, you're right. Let her know, hey, you don't need to come. I'm busy.
I don't think he was busy. I think he was trying to get busy and he couldn't. That was the problem.
All I know is that DK clearly doesn't listen to this podcast. There's only 3 of us. He's not interested.
All right.
Good guy.
I don't shame the man for wanting that. I don't shame him for the way that he did it. I have 0 issues with any of it. I couldn't care less.
He's what, an NFL superstar in his 20s? Of course, he's trying to bang 2 chicks at the same time.
DK,
Right.
just do what any superstar
Did we not
does.
see Office Space? What would you do with that money? 2 chicks at the same
Same
time.
time.
But that's my point, Chico. If you want it done, flash some cash.
You've probably never met
prostitution.
Seattle girls. They don't actually care about cash.
No, I don't go anywhere near Seattle. We're safe.
Good. You're too dirty looking to go there.
In the 90s, you would have fit in with the grunge.
I was
movement.
gonna say,
Yeah.
if I put a flannel
I
on,
was
just while I'm
hungry.
killing myself, they'll mistake me for Kurt Cobain. I'll be fine.
Just don't carry a shotgun, bro, and you'll be fine.
You know,
Ooh.
too soon. All right. So anyway,
Sorry.
as expected, Josh. Once again, we've gone way over the time limit, so that worked out real well.
Awesome.
Also, as expected, there was no mini beard appearance. None.
Oh, you want me to get him? Hold on.
I was gonna say we're
Where's
gonna
the
close this
scout?
out.
He's not even here.
He's scouting
Scouting what?
how to
A new
inject.
wife? Sorry, Gunner. Sorry, Addie. Oh yeah, where's this child of his?
I think he's getting ready to Simba him in here. I feel like I should be playing the Lion King.
I think we might get taken down.
Is there a copyright infringement I need to be aware of?
On the Lion King? Of course there is.
He's on the boob. I can't take him away.
Oh, yeah. I was like, the boob completely outweighs this podcast.
Just show the boob.
The boob outweighs the beard. I'm sorry. I can't do anything.
Somebody's
Was that
dying.
a baby?
Yeah. Got a mouthful. Nothing we can do.
I know. It happens. All right. So maybe we'll get a mini beard appearance next week.
Yeah.
Maybe this show won't go 3 hours next week. We have a lot of things that we need to work on.
Doubtful.
But
I thought
one
this was
last thing
great.
before we do go that I should mention is now that the beard is back, the announcement that we made last week will actually happen this week. And that me and Josh will be doing a game on Colorcast. If you have an Apple product, iPad, iPhone, whatever, download it. You can listen. Go on the Twitter. Send us your opinion. Me and Josh are going back and forth. Obviously, his Vikings play Sunday night. So we thought it might be appealing to have Josh just hate the Vikings for 3 hours on this Colorcast.
Yes.
Or we could do a college game on Saturday.
As long as it's Old Dominion, I'm in.
Actually, that's not a bad idea.
So
Yeah, don't watch something good. If you got ESPN Plus, you can watch North Colorado versus UC Davis playing. It looks like in a backyard football game. That's what I want to watch.
That's what you want to hear us talk about?
Yes.
Backyard football? All right.
Pick a Mets game to rewatch, as someone said in the chat.
I think that listener just comes for the rant. That's
Oh,
all
yeah.
he wants from all the episodes. Like if we've talked about doing the shorts on this show. If I just make my rants, that's the only thing he's going to watch. He's not going to watch the show.
He'll never tune in again.
No.
No.
All right. So go to the Twitter, vote for your suggestion for what game me and Josh should broadcast. Subscribe to the YouTube, follow the Twitter, rate and subscribe, iTunes, Spotify, all those good places. All right. So that's it for the beard, Josh, the mini beard over there on the boob, for the late stash appearance. All right. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll be back next week, hopefully shorter.
#doubt.
# highly unlikely.